The bottom 6 teams are just shuffling chairs on the Titanic.
What would you want to go back and watch now?
What is it that makes this game specifically so top heavy?
If I was the commissioner, I would go this route.
Just the new era of COD, I think, is fun to watch.
So we're talking about what is the most entertaining Call of Duties, what makes for the best league, what makes for the best COD year.
There's no way.
If you had to predict champs winner right now, who would you go with? Ghost was a more interesting season.
No.
It was so much better.
I will take back what I said. If Carolina win champs,
This is the best year of all
This is the best
time.
year of all time.
Classic use the Rampart.
Gunless was really good. Benched himself.
Formal.
Was hot as ever. Seed every year.
I am now the CEO of Microsoft. And my first rule is...
And welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcast. I'm your host, Josh, SalvationsElite. To my left is Bash_Bo3 Sam. And to our farthest left, per usual, is none other than the Rex ShadyNero. And we have a lot to talk about today. It may have been only a few months. You know, what's a few months between friends since the last episode? But we did promise it would not be our last, and we are back.
Fulfilled.
At it again, 2024 MW3. And today we're going to be talking about the future of the CDL, the potential impact of changes the CDL has made, obviously, with all the news that we've missed since the last episode, including Hex and suing the CDL
Pretty big.
and the changes CDL has made. Obviously, then we're going to get into this season a little bit, talk about the madness of 2024 already. And, you know, Champs is on its way as well, which is interesting enough in itself. And then we're going to get into ranking the best COD seasons of all time and talk about and really reminisce not only on the past, but really see what we can learn from what made those past seasons so great and entertaining and what we can take into the future to make a better Call of Duty League. So we have a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a fun one. Without further ado, guys, how y'all doing?
Well, Josh,
I'm feeling like a Spitfire on a Tuesday. We're running around the clock thinking, where's this campfire from? We got this mesquites flying around and trying to suck your blood. I'm said, no, sir. No, sir. I put on some sunblock and they couldn't get through this 6K. You know what I mean, Sammy?
Please get away from me. I don't know how to respond.
Wow. Are you the mosquito, Sam?
Mesquites, actually.
Mesquites. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Like we never left.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
How you doing, Sam?
Good.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
Dylan.
not as good as Rex.
No, I mean,
Hard to beat.
the energy was phenomenal. Jeez. Good. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah, we made it. I mean, you know, like we said, it's been a minute, but we're back.
Mhm.
And last episode took place, I think, in September or end of August of 2023.
Mhm.
So 2 episodes in 1 year, we're on fire. I mean, this is a good pace. So I think next
Good
year,
average.
we could do 3 next year. I mean, this could get crazy. But realistically, there are going to be more episodes in the future. I think I'm a lot closer than I used to be. That helps a lot. So overall, I think, well, this is going to happen a little bit more often, I think. And, you know, bringing back what is, which I've never have left in the first
Maybe
place.
an episode out of the country.
Out of the
per
country?
se. You know what I'm saying?
At COD events?
At the COD events?
Maybe. Who knows? You know, some ideas
On the
in
sea?
there.
On the
In the sea?
On the sea?
Yeah.
On the sea? On the
yes,
sea?
yeah. But
Under the
around
sea?
a campfire under the sea. So it's going to be a fun one. And like I said, there's obviously a ton to talk about. So we're going to be catching up on the news first of all here. No quick question this week since, you know, it's been a minute. So without further ado, let's get into the news of the week.
Do we still have our drop?
Oh, we still got to drop some.
Wow.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
It's news time, baby. Let's go. So, where do we begin with the news? So the last episode took place about a month and a half after Champs. We'd already talked about the 2023 Champs, the subliners taken home. MW2's championship.
Wow.
Shout out Hydrus, first
Kismet.
European player to win CoD Champs. Kiz, doing the whole thing.
Priesta, and then gets dropped.
Priesta gets yeeted. So that was all right after Priesta got yeeted. Octane had retired. 100T broke up. All of that had happened.
I love how well Kismet is doing.
Yeah.
Because he's never been like that player on like the championship teams, and then until MW2.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
he's
because
like that guy.
just yesterday, if you guys, or just this week, if you guys are seeing this, I had posted like a top 50s list of all time, and I was like, Kismet might actually deserve to be on it.
Is
now.
he in there? Champ winner?
Like 50th, like somewhere right around there, like top 50. Maybe it is possible.
Do you
because
remember? Sorry,
winning
go
CoD
ahead.
Champs kind of puts you into that like top 50 range.
Mhm.
Yeah. You remember how much of a standout player he was on the Modern Warfare 2019 Paris?
Paris Legion.
Oh my
He was
gosh,
pretty good on that
yeah.
roster, man. I was like, he makes some plays.
So, I mean, he's
Welcome to What's Wrong with Paris.
That's
he
a
was,
throwback.
the problem with putting him in top 50 though would be like he'd be the lowest rated COD champion, I would assume. Just because he's had like the least amount of time in the league out of any of those guys that had won. Like even guys like Assault who won in World War II were in the league for quite a while.
Yeah.
Mhm. Does he have any other tournament wins other than than
with
recently?
NYSL.
Yeah.
So I mean the recent ones.
Maybe
but,
with E6. Wasn't he on the Nigma 6 roster for
but
a
they wouldn't
while?
have won anything.
Probably not.
They won all those COD Challengers events.
Challenger
but-
stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of challengers wins.
No, but 100%. Kids, killing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was all going down. So I guess the big news, there's a bunch of news that we can kind of talk into, but right after we had posted the last episode, at that point, the top rosters had already been established. And so the real question was like, what's going to happen with the smaller teams? So then what happened was the Royal Ravens, of course, moved to Carolina. The Paris Legion moved to Vegas.
Mhm.
And the season kind of then at that point got underway as the teams kind of, fired off their rosters and got them set up with a bunch of new rookies, obviously. So, we can talk about some of that stuff as well. Yeah, so I mean, there's basically just so much summary to go on, but that's kind of all that we missed since then. And then the season kind of got started. So obviously we've had Major 1, Major 2, and Major 3. And a bunch of the guys had retired, like Sensor retired, Pristini retired, GodRx retired. And then really this year has been a lot like less newsy than many other years, besides like the day-to-day news with like meta changes and things along those lines, with new maps, obviously. Lots of new maps this year in the game. So I guess it comes down to what you guys want to talk about first. I think the obviously, we've had all the Draza and Scrap beef, which I guess qualifies as news this year. But maybe we just want to talk overall about the season so far, what you've watched, what you haven't. Interesting takeaways so far, Major 1, Major 2, Major 3, and the news there. Obviously, we've had Ultra, FaZe, and OpTic winning the first 3 events.
Big 3.
And so it's been really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, I guess, talking about the game itself. It's just how it plays,
Sure, let's talk about MW3 for a second. We haven't talked about it on a pod.
Yeah. So with it, I know that this game was supposed to be like a continuation of Modern Warfare 2, then like they had to change it as a whole new game.
Yeah, they got retconned essentially, and then they just emergency threw in the MW2 maps, which supposedly they were going to remaster as DLC, and then they threw it in. So then we got the MW2 maps,
Yeah. But overall, I know we've had a conversation before. It's like the most okay COD in the past couple of years, and I'm like, that's a good description of it.
Like if you're tier listing CODs, it's like dead center.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Just like, it's a good time.
It's not bad. Yeah.
Which like compared to I think the majority of people would say, pre or post Modern Warfare 2019, like that era, it's been a little rough in terms of competitive.
That's nice of you.
Yeah. So like having this be the most okay COD of all time
is a pretty big
win. So long story short, I do enjoy my time playing on it.
Yeah. 100%.
It has its faults, but I think, some of the maps play well, some of the maps don't play well.
The new maps in addition, in my opinion, really helped the game a lot.
They did.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Rex, what are your thoughts on the game?
If I were to rank it, so number 1 is probably Cold War. I'd probably put it at number 2 for me, to be honest.
Since the start of the CDL?
Yeah, since the start.
CDL.
If we're talking 2019 forward, it's
Agreed.
probably number 2 for me. And then MW 2019 is 3. And then I think,
And you have Vanguard and
Is there another
And
one?
2022.
Oh, MW2 is probably last.
Yeah.
Trash. Absolute garbage.
So yeah, that's probably my ranking for it. I really like MW3. I like the movement. I like playing it. I think it's fun.
Yeah, good.
They just need uplink, but that's it.
Yeah.
They need jetpacks.
Yeah, I mean, overall for me, the gunfights in the game just feel a little bit lackluster. Like they're not interesting. But again, that's kind of just how all these IW and Vanguard games have been, or Sledgehammer games have been. And the only unique feeling one has been Treyarch with how their gunfights feel
But
more
Treyarch,
interesting.
I think, is the next game, right?
It is the next
and
game,
it's
Black
been
Ops
in
6.
production for like 3 years.
I mean, the hopes are sky high
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Black Ops 6.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I mean, for me, that's where I start, my ears get perked. I get excited, you know, start wishing and
I
hoping.
know.
I don't know, the channel, that's tempting.
I feel like this might be like the first time that a game hasn't been like cut short. Like this is like the
And
first
its cycle
full
is
developed
so
cycle
long.
It's actually been
since
extended.
forever.
Yeah.
Like every single time it's like, oh, this game was supposed to come out this time, but then we had to switch gears and then, you know, yada yada. Because this game was supposed to be Advanced Warfare 2 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Or something.
And they got
That was
retconned
the
as well.
rumor,
Yeah, whatever. But so yeah, you know, hopes going into next Call of Duty is gonna be great. But in terms of this Call of Duty, I do enjoy it. For
What's your
what it
favorite
is.
thing about this Call of Duty?
I think they got the movement right
For this new era.
for this
of
new
COD?
era.
Yes.
You know, it's Modern Warfare 2 just felt so slow. You know, with like the sliding,
And dead silence.
Dead- you know,
lack of dead silence.
Thank goodness. Actually, you know, it is a perk now. It works well. The guns, I think my one gripe, and probably a lot of people's gripes, is they put in the guns for like a week, like new guns,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of using the Rifle 9 and the MCW. Truth be told, obviously.
Sure.
But otherwise, yeah, like I think the movements, I was shocked at how well some of the maps did play out. Like when I first heard Modern Warfare 2, you know, maps like, you know,
Respawn's gonna be tragic.
it's supposed to be tragic and all this, but for the most part, it seems to work pretty well. So you know, that's good. But
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, overall, I
Movement.
think, and then also the health. I enjoyed the
Versus
health
the
buff.
last 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So-
Rex, your favorite thing about the game?
I mean, pretty much same things that Sam is saying. I mean, I like the movement a lot. I think that's good. I think the maps are pretty good. I really like the new maps, 6-star and
Yeah.
Rio Vista.
Yeah, Vista.
I really like Vista. They really like sped up the pace of the game with respawns, which I think was really fun. The only one is like Invasion is like iffy, but it's kind of growing on me
I like
a little
it.
bit more.
Yeah, I like it personally.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
For me, the best thing about this game is the maps. Just because, like, now that you have a pretty large pool of maps, they feel unique. The hard points are fun. They're fast paced, but there's a good switch up of like speeds on the maps, like versus like crotchy control or something like that. It's interesting, and I like how you play. So
Mhm.
I'm with you. I think this game is just super solid,
Yeah.
which, you know, is a high bar nowadays.
Mhm, definitely.
Apparently. So, okay. So far this season, obviously, we've had these going into the year, even in our podcast, before other rosters are even known, we're like, these 4 teams are going to be super good.
Mm-hmm.
It was like pretty obvious that Ultra, FaZe, OpTic, and New York were going to be the top 4 teams. And here we are, 9 months later,
It's not
and
even close.
it's not even close.
It's incredibly top heavy.
It's insanely top heavy with dominance from each of them at different points. So at this point in the season, what is anything surprised you, or like what are your biggest takeaways so far into this year?
I think one thing, you know, if we're kind of going through, you know, the teams, I think for once we've seen OpTic have some ice. Like it's
Yeah.
OpTic is fun to watch.
watching that game versus Ultra, like everything was just going right. Finally, every other time you watch OpTic, it's like something's going to happen where they just cannot.
They
budge.
line up for accuracy.
The accuracy problem. But so it's been great, and you know, I mean, every single person on the roster, you know, Pred, Kenny, you know, Dashi, and Shotzi, of course. Just so much fun to watch. Just you know, phenomenal. FaZe has been FaZe. I mean,
draws
a-
again. You guys, we talked about this last episode, but I thought as if it was recently, but
just last week.
yeah, last episode. But you guys were on the Draza train from day one, and it's continued to show.
Mhm.
And like Octane had talked about, like all of his sons have now won.
Mhm.
Ultra, FaZe, OpTic, back to back to back. Yeah, I mean, literally Envoy, then Draza, and then Kenny.
Yeah.
Back to back to back here. So this 100T influence is obviously mattering. So I found that really, really interesting that ended up happening that way.
Yeah. Is it, what would you guys say, or there may not be a good answer to this, but what is it that makes this game specifically so top heavy for these guys? Is it just pure skill?
Is strange.
Is it
more about the game or is it more about the league format? Because honestly, I think it's a little bit of both, probably.
What do you mean by the league format?
Which, I mean, we'll probably get into more as we get into the conversation, but I think it's more like, again, because teams can spend all the money, you're incentivized to create super teams. Guys aren't incentivized to stay with their teams. You basically, and also maybe because the last 3 games, play styles have been quite similar. Or like Vanguard, the skill sets in Vanguard, the skill sets in MW2, and the skill sets in MW3 are almost exactly aligned. So you've been able to hone who the best players are. Whereas like a guy like Celium hasn't missed a beat for 3 years. Where like in past CODs, you go from IW to World War II to BO4, and it's like, good luck.
So different.
Trying to like that 3-year stretch versus this 3-year stretch, I think is a little bit,
what you're saying.
is something to probably consider when it comes to dominance, because over 3 years, I mean, someone who's good in Vanguard, it's almost the same exact thing as this game.
That makes sense, a lot of sense actually, because you can identify who the good players are, and you know they're going to stay good because each game, like, things are relatively the same going.
Which is, I've been very surprised. I mean, since we stopped the podcast, it's like the top players are the top. It's the top players.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we literally identified them back then as the top players. Where like you could not have done that. Like when a World War II shows up, I mean, suddenly
it's different.
Looney is one of the best players in the game.
Yeah, there is a difference in team chemistry and like team play though that you can see with the top teams versus everybody else.
Agreed.
Like when you look at like Boston Breach, who's at the bottom, their team chemistry,
they're icy,
is like major.
I was like, what?
Ice, like, but their like team chemistry is so off, and like you can see it in the gameplay. That's like people need to make, like, Beans has to get a 2-piece in S&D
just for a hope of something. Like, it's just random, kind of almost hoping for luck to happen, or it's just individual players having to be in making individual formula.
Plays. Whereas when you watch FaZe, when you watch OpTic, you can see it the most in them, where it's like you can see the synergy these teams have together. I think especially with FaZe, it's the most obvious.
Oh yeah.
But OpTic, you
that
can
trio,
see it too.
It's like they read each other's minds.
It's crazy.
I was going to bring this up too because it kind of relates, but Parasite recently had a tweet. This was a couple days ago, but he says, this is the worst the league's ever been in terms of skill. People don't play the game more than they need to anymore. No 8s, bad roster comps, no grinders. And then Kenny replied to that and said, this year, nobody plays for the win more than any other year. I don't know what it is about this game, but most teams don't play to win. So even if they did play, I don't know if they learned.
They're kill whoring? Is that what Kenny's trying to say?
Well, you know, it's kind of set up. COD is set up sort of in a way where people, if you're not on one of the best teams, you're sort of just out for yourself. Because if you're in challengers,
build your resume.
You're just like, I need to be known as the great player. So like, I don't want to like harp on any players too much.
I see what you're saying though, is that like the slayers and the challengers are the ones who get highlighted because they're the ones.
But then you see them
kills.
coming to the league and like they're still pulling off crazy individual plays, but they're not exactly contributing. You end
up with
the
awakenings.
Win. Yeah, kind of like you're ending up with awakenings. And there's people like that in the league now. And
that's a good point.
And that's what everyone's playing for, is for highlights.
Because you can't get into the league as a team anymore in challengers. The only way to get into the league is by individual talent. But no one actually watches challengers. So then the problem is, and there's not even tournaments, so you can't even like half the time even show off at tournaments in person.
The tournaments are going on at the same time.
And you're not going to end up on stage playing against the pros.
No.
So the pros are never going to learn your names.
Yep.
And so you have to dominate as an individual. Put up the 40 and 20 match. Go 14 and 2 in S&D.
Yeah.
Beat. Honestly, too, like have a personality,
and be a personality, be scrap.
You know what I mean? Like when he was going off and he was talking, everyone's like, "Who's this kid?" You know, and he immediately, you know, he obviously is a great player too. You know, you can't just be a good personality, but I think those two things are, you know, huge. And like you guys are saying, you know, there isn't team entry anymore. It's just individual, and you get picked up. And if you happen to vibe with the squad, it's great. If you
That's
don't, then
I think 100%. Everything's incentive. So over time, after 3 years now of the same style of game, you're incentivized as an individual to try to perform to get in. Your teams can't get into the league at all. You're locked out. So there's no point in playing together and staying together as a team. You have to just betray all your teammates to find the best, most OP team you can find.
which still happens apparently in challengers. I think, it's crazy.
There's like I don't know what the contracts look like, but it's like every year, if you're not in the top 4, top 3 teams, the whole team just gets blown up and you're just getting a whole new roster of people. So everyone is always just fearful for their jobs rather than feeling secure in it and be like, okay, I want to make a good team. But instead they have to think, I need to make myself look really good so I don't lose my job.
Right. Because back before, this is going to be really cross conversational here for us. But because back in the olden days, you had no worry of like missing out on the league because no one was in the league.
Yeah,
there was no league, so you could make it with anyone.
Anyone. And so it was about the team and like trying to figure it out because you already had something good going here. That type of idea. So it's just completely different now. And that really does, I think, affect how things work.
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, I think Adam Apicella, mentioned too, he said people with these salaries that, that we have currently with, I think we all agree are probably overinflated, at this time, but people are kind of locked in and there's no drive to win if, you're really just playing for a job, at that point.
So you're playing for survival, not for winning.
Exactly.
If you're not on one of the top teams,
right.
The top teams, like you feel fairly secure. Like the top 4, I'm sure all those people feel like, I'm going to end up on a team no matter what.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Cause like guys like FaZe.
Someone like Temp.
Yeah.
Like he was playing for his job last year.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if they win because they're going to get eliminated from champs anyway. So like just go for kills.
Yeah.
Slay.
Yeah. And like,
yeah,
I think that's why you have the confidence that you see like with like FaZe where it's I'm going to do like these crazy plays. If I like get pooped on, these times I'm fine because, like we know that we're going to be fine. But like those guys that don't have that position in the top 4 aren't willing to take that risk of those plays.
So either you're playing too conservatively or you're trying like individual ego chow to like make insane plays happen and you're forcing it.
Yeah.
It's one of the two.
Yeah. Like I would say, I think like that's where the mindset is you're not willing to like make these weird plays for the team's sake to win if like you're going to get pooped on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it makes sense.
I don't know. That's like FaZe's confidence has just been unreal. Like shooting bodies when they're still down. You know what I mean? Like it's insane, which is great. Same. Yeah, like I
because they know their role in this league.
Yeah,
and they're just like, we're just gonna embrace it,
and go for it.
They look impressive.
Yes.
They are the most fun team to watch just based on gameplay. Like they're doing things differently, and you can see it. Like they're so fun to watch.
They are.
But then they're also all talented enough where they can go and try to make individually unbelievable plays.
Yes.
There's one moment on Invasion where like Celium, I can't remember, it was like in a 1v1 and he reach out Dark Alley and like no one would reach out Dark Alley in that situation except for Celium. And I was like, that was an insane play. Like anyone else would be like, would get tortured for like doing that. But Celium won the gunfight and it was just like, another win great. For Cell. He was like insane. I'm like, I cannot believe he challenged that.
Yeah. Like
FaZe has mastered like the mental game as well as like the in-game mechanics.
Except in grand finals.
Yes.
Which is just shocking. I mean,
it is.
That's the thing. Like at this point, with how good they've been, I would have thought for sure they would have locked away like greatest of all time, besides like the Optic guys. But like at this point, it's still a debate between like guys like Octane and Clayster and those guys with Simp and Abizi because they keep losing grand finals.
Like I think the stat is like
they're even or one up.
I don't know. Like in all the grand finals that they've been at, I
think they're even.
Maybe,
but I don't know. I think Simp and Abizi are going to be known forever in Call of Duty.
Well, don't get me wrong, they will. No doubt. They're already top 10 players all time.
Yeah.
The question will be is how high will they get?
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I mean the league is so much more competitive now. Like.
Well, not according to Parasite.
Yeah, Parasite says it's not.
He says it's not. I mean, come on. Look at them. They do things that no one was doing before.
I think
Yeah.
he's saying like in terms of like the overall player pool. Like
Sure.
Maybe.
if you have a top heavy league, it's like you have 16 good players and then no one else can even touch them. Like
Yeah.
that's rough.
Right.
Yeah, I guess.
It seems
It
hard
seems
to believe.
more team oriented now. Like I feel like teams are more professional now. Like just in the sense of how they prepare for
Mhm.
things. Whereas when they were preparing before, it was just people amateurishly drawing something up and kind of making things up. Whereas now it's like they have like in-depth stats on things. They have so much. They have a coaching staffs that are helping them analyze things.
Shout out JP.
Like the game is harder in that sense because things have become way more predictable, I guess, from other players. Like you know how teams operate better than you did before.
Also, is Rambo still a coach somewhere?
He's at
CL Surge.
Surge. Okay.
I think Abuza was just talking about how he's helped him so much.
That's
in S&D.
right.
Oh,
Okay.
shout out Abuza. Like Abuza looks good lately.
Really good.
He's been looking
Well,
really
I think
good.
because Seattle, they just won. I think they're probably
they-
the locked and loaded fifth best team.
They
right
just
now.
beat FaZe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say they're locked and loaded the fifth best team right now, which is that's insane considering their roster is a bunch of like new players.
Well, and like at the beginning of the league, I feel like they were like bottom 3 for
'Cause
sure.
they made all those changes and now suddenly
Well, they
it's-
brought in 04, and that's exactly what they needed.
yeah
Hookah stepped up too.
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Hook,
how
I'm
one player
saying,
who's
like,
never changes Hook. That man just goes rogue
yeah.
Every time.
every time.
Hook will have some stinkers, but he also have like really good ones.
Yeah,
I think for Surge, Hook is their catalyst player.
he's always been because he hits the flanks.
Yeah.
he entries. So when he catches those first bloods, they're unstoppable.
Yeah.
It's like,
But then he gets caught out.
but he
and
gets
first
caught out.
blooded, and then suddenly you're down 3-4. And then
I was
it's
gonna
like,
say, I think his issue is he of those plays, he's had more stinkers than wins. You know what I mean?
over
But
the years.
over the years.
Yeah.
But right now, looking good.
Looking good though.
I would not have predicted Brezzy to be like a top 20 player in the CDL or somewhere around there, but that was not in my cards for him. But that's exciting to see.
Yeah.
Because he was
Yeah.
so good for so long in the amateur scene in Europe. So it's crazy.
It is wild.
Yeah. So I would say, so when it comes to like some of the other takeaways then for these first three majors to this point, I mean, thoughts on any of those play? Let's talk about the top 4 teams. I mean, is there something that comes to mind for you guys?
FaZe is still number 1 to me.
Hmm.
Optic is second, and I think that's when we hit a gap. Personally, is what I see. Even
Okay.
though I know Ultra beat FaZe or whatever,
Yeah, it was a little roundabout thing. Yeah.
but I feel like FaZe was just off. But I feel like it's FaZe, Optic, Gap, Ultra, maybe Gap, then New York, then Gap.
Huh.
But
Wait, so in these championships, hasn't it? It was FaZe, Ultra beat
Ultra
FaZe,
third.
Ultra beat
and
FaZe.
FaZe beat Optic. Then Optic beat Ultra.
yeah,
Crazy how
I
that
know.
works out, dude. That's insane.
It's interesting. I mean, I think is it fair to say that Ultra's been the least consistent
Probably out of the 3.
out of the 3?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And you know, like I don't know what that would kind of come down to, and you know, in terms
you
of
don't
like
think
Ultra,
it was subliners is more? I feel
No, I
like
think we're just talking about the top 3.
oh, okay,
top 3.
The Subliners is definitively the 4th best team.
okay, yeah.
Definitely.
Which there has been a narrative. Sorry to cut that off, but like there has been a narrative about Hydra being a kill whore. I don't know if you saw that. Like Hydra just slaying and not actually trying to
Let's
win.
look at
Guys,
that
that-
team. There's Hydra and Sib, both
Insane
might have-
slayers.
insane slayers. Then you have Kiz, who maybe is like your glue guy.
And Sky's an insane slayer.
Disguise has been, I feel like, a little bit iffier.
Quick side note: did you see that Hydra has been like positive in every single land event
I did see that he's ever
he's
played in.
attempted to,
Yeah.
which is an unreal stat.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hydra always looked really good.
Yeah.
But maybe he is a kill whore. Maybe
Could
that's
be.
indicative of that's a kill whore.
Which-
yeah.
Which I feel like you can use like a team like New York if you use him right.
Well, I
it's
mean, he can literally
fantastic.
take over maps.
Exactly.
We've
Yeah.
seen it this year multiple times.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody has more highlight reel plays than Hydra.
I mean, he's the only one competing with like the Simp and Beat. Well, instead of like Optic guys, but Simp and Abeezy, like Hydra's the only guy on that team I feel like who's going to be able to like step up and like try and tamper that down.
Yeah, yeah. Because I saw some some COD, some forum post on Reddit about like the best SMGs and ARs, and most of them were just like it was just basically Toronto Ultra and FaZe. or Toronto, OpTic, and FaZe, and then like plus Hydra. Like was kind of like the best 10 players in the league essentially. So it is interesting to kind of consider where those guys are at right now. But I don't know. I mean, I guess what does your gut say? Who's a better SMG? Like is Simp right now the best SMG in the game? Shotzi, Hydra, Red, Abizi, Kleenex.
It's got to be Simp.
Simp or Abizi, yeah.
Yeah,
it depends what you're looking at. Like they each have their different way of doing things. Because with FaZe, they're so much more team oriented, where it's kind of like they don't need to pull off Hydra like highlight reels because Abizi's already getting the trades with Simp and like things just flow like that. But yeah, I'd probably say Simp,
which
is still there.
This might be a separate conversation. I don't know, but like even considering all the teams, like rookies, like Gwyn, and Linz as well. I mean, these phenomenal performances from these guys.
I know all these rookies are looking pretty good, which really again means that there's talent out there.
There is. It's just a matter of
building teams over time that can compete.
Yep.
The problem is they're so far behind on the team building side.
Well, it's that jump from amateur to pro. Like it becomes a different game.
It does.
I imagine.
It does.
So like just the way strategy works with the whole analysts and everything. Like
how you're going to play insertion destroy. Like there's certain things you can do in the amateur scene I'm sure that you cannot do against Simp and Abizi.
Right.
But yeah, no, I've been really impressed with at least like the rookies that I've seen this year.
What's the biggest surprise to you this season so far?
I mean, a couple of random ones. I mean, like certain people. I mean, TJ Halley. I mean,
definitely, dude. TJ is a huge one.
Fair.
That's a phenomenal comeback. Honestly,
TJ is good. That's up there.
It is.
Big surprise.
It is. I
good for him.
It is good for him. He's good now.
I always find myself rooting for Carolina whenever they're on. I'm like,
well, come on, man.
Funny.
Of course.
You know what I mean, you got Fellow, Clay, TJ, and
what a vibe. The whole team.
A rookie.
Fellow stepped up too. Fellow, I remember when he first joined that team. Like, dude, things were not looking so good for him. But I feel
about a guy that I did not. If I had to guess who would have been in the CDL in 2024, I would not have guessed Fellow like 4 years ago.
Dude, Clayster always every time.
So shout out Fellow.
Clayster always brings Fellow whenever there has to be a roster swap. That's
he's
like
so
his guy.
Fellow's such a vibe, though.
Yeah, Fellow's cool.
He was
one of the nicest pros to me when I was back in the day. He was so nice.
I got the pleasure of when we went to World War II Champs. I stood by him and he literally started talking to me. I'm like, this is so cool. Thanks, Fellow.
Back in the day, dude.
Back in the day.
So good.
Such a nice guy. So, you know, like certain players just stepping up, I'm trying to think of.
I'm a big Heretics guy.
Heretics, really?
Heretics.
What is going wrong with Heretics?
Big Heretics guy.
What's wrong with them?
What's wrong? They're top 6. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Why can't they win?
They are surprisingly decent.
Why? I mean, they are. I mean, next to last, bottom of the barrel
most of the time. Until they're not.
Until they're not.
Until
they get a map win on OpTic.
That's right.
The thing is do you guys watch like the very beginning? Like they were like considered the best.
Yeah.
Right at the start.
They were dominant for a second.
They were dominant. And then just crazy.
It's crazy.
It's not for lack of talent. There's no all those guys are very talented.
I think it's just people, like, I don't know their coaching staff or anything, but I feel like it's just,
they just don't
because North America and Europe have always been like the go-to place. So they haven't been in that mindset, I guess, of how you coach it and all that. Maybe like the whole team side of things. Maybe they're still figuring
they
out.
Just don't analyze.
Like
they
the culture of it isn't.
I really like all their players.
Well, they're great people.
What Real was on Seattle at first, and then I think. And then he ended up going to Miami.
Fickle was on.
Vic, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wasn't he on? What was he on?
Paris?
Paris, maybe?
Might have been Paris or something.
This is embarrassing.
Metals was on Ultra at one point.
Yeah, because that's the thing. They're literally like a roster that's been all over the board. Florida. Duh. So there was Florida before, and then that's where the Mutineers turned into. He was there the whole time.
Nice. Yeah. So. Heretics stinking is definitely a rough one. Gunless is back. I'm so excited to see Gunless. That was
also
great.
Also a name I did not foresee.
I know. the issue is you have now gunless and assault. No, not assault. Sorry, accuracy. My bad. You have gunless and accuracy on the same team. It's kind of like the same role there.
I mean, let's be honest. The bottom 6 teams are just shuffling.
That's true.
They're shuffling chairs on the Titanic.
Yep.
It's not going to happen. All right. Like Carolina has the outside chance of making some insane run at champs.
Yeah.
And like could like LA Thieves or something like catch fire. They have the talent to do that, I think, with that roster, with Ghosty and everyone there. But like, it's not going to matter in the long run. You're not going to beat them out of losers and then into winners or winners then losers in a champ setting. Because it's like,
no way.
Good luck. So I don't know. At the end of the day, like for me, honestly, I was doubting Kenny going into the season. So for me, it was like, I wasn't sure how he would play with Dashy and whether they would clash and how they see the game. But it's been really interesting to see how they've actually like meshed almost perfectly, and the personalities actually worked really, really well. So that's where I saw maybe the potential issues there. And since Pred is such a big personality, but it's been interesting because when you listen to their comms in game, is that Kenny's actually the one that talks the most.
Yes,
which is very interesting. So he took on that in-game leader role. He really embraced it, and it's fit him perfectly.
Yeah,
and so. I would have been wrong about that if we would have been like had this podcast going on before the season. I probably would have said I would have been a little bit skeptical. So yeah, big surprise for me. I mean, awesome for Kenny.
Yeah.
And talking about his arc as a career is super interesting. And if they keep winning, he's going to have a contention for like top 12, 15 all time.
Well, it's crazy. Yeah. Going from Vanguard, winning champs and then nothing really happened, after that and or for 2. And then now it's like, if he wins now, man, who would have thought? Because then you think of Kenny back in World War II, where he was like the best rookie. He was like the rookie of the year.
TK, man. TK Kenny.
Literally won everything.
EG wins champs that year.
And then EG, that was like the biggest,
most random.
Yeah. The biggest chip of all time. Like, dude, how did TK not?
But it's the pure definition of what World War II was.
It was just like, any given day can show up, and
the most patient game of all time.
It really was.
Yeah,
that was a fun game, man. Like the ranked aspect of that game was solid. Good.
But yeah, like for sure, for Kenny to come out and dominate early on, and then it's interesting that World War II was his breakout game, which is again fascinating because a lot of the guys whose World War II was their breakout game didn't survive because again the play style is just so different.
I mean, I don't even remember who else was in that game. Who was a breakout star?
I mean,
Octane was around.
Like Chino
was in there. Accuracy was phenomenal.
Accuracy was a breakout star.
Yep.
Which it took him a while to kind of catch fire again. But
Looney was the whole Rise methods.
He was pretty good in AW though.
That's true. He wasn't he?
Yeah. And IW because like Rise was pretty good in IW as well. But yeah, all of those ARs in that game were really who it was. I mean, Octane had a good year that year going into it, and so there was all those guys. But, I mean. I think now with Kenny though, he's just really super consistent. I think that's where you see him, and then like to rein in Shotzi and Dashy, and I mean Dashy. All of the OpTic guys had takeover moments, but man, Dashy had some unbelievable moments in that tournament.
Yeah,
icy as hell.
Yeah.
1v3
on Evasion.
the 1v2, whatever it was.
Oh my goodness! And like some of the moments in hard points where he was just on fire.
Yeah.
So they've all have their moments, and again, I was also a little bit skeptical about how Pred and Shotzi would play together because they're both kind of rogue SMGs where they both like to slay, they both like to hit these routes, and Pred especially. I mean, back on Seattle in Vanguard, there'd be moments where Pred's like in the back of the map. You're like, what is Pred doing?
What's happening?
And then like it works out for him sometimes, but he's been really reeled in this game, and so
I think
it's impressive.
I think what you said was like the best defining is the consistency. Like for the first time in a long time, I've seen OpTic consistently play well and like consistently play where they're supposed to be playing spots wise. It's phenomenal to watch them. So that's pretty cool to see them finally have a really non-choking
a team
year.
You're not so like worried about.
Yes, it's like, oh crap,
Although
like
they did just lose the Legion, but
that's online
in tournament.
In tournament. So that is fun to watch
for sure. So yeah, I mean we'll see. I mean, moving forward here now, heading into like the end of the year. I mean, do you have any hot takes?
I mean, there's no way.
If you had to predict champs winner right now, who would you go with?
Gosh, that's good.
I'm still picking FaZe.
FaZe does just seem
They're locked to be in the grand finals.
oh,
like
for
it
sure.
feels like it at least.
always. Yeah, I just don't see a world where it's not one of the at least top 4. Like,
Yeah.
We've seen nothing
No.
that says otherwise. No one's come close. I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless anyone.
So okay, let's
has
make
a
your
hot
pick.
take.
Make your pick.
FaZe.
I want a triple board phase here. That sucks.
New object.
It is tough though because I feel like all three of them. If you had, how about this? We put the odds instead.
Mhm.
Odds of FaZe, Optic, Ultra. Give all 4 teams odds to win champs
Like,
I would say
out of 100%.
I would say 40 FaZe, 35.
Oh,
Optic.
you're doing
okay.
crazy
Heavy.
math right now.
20,
You're gonna do this for 4 teams.
20%
You're giving a
Ultra,
5% chance to New York
5% chance New York.
and 0% chance
Everyone
to
else,
Seattle.
yeah. That's where I'm at.
I think that's pretty fair. I'd go a little bit more even. I'd probably go 30. Yeah, I'd probably go 30 FaZe, 25 Optic, 25 Ultra,
Hmm.
20 Ultra, and then probably the other 25% to the rest of the teams. But
Yep.
That's probably too generous.
Yeah, I mean, like one of them has to choke so hard
Yeah.
for
Or the last 20%. Yeah, that's tough.
for a team built, the bottom 4. I would love to see a Carolina run. That'd be amazing.
Oh yeah,
But man,
unlikely.
it's just the talent differential is just so.
Oh dude, yeah, it
Yeah.
just seems impossible. Which is so
Impossible.
weird for COD to feel that
It
impossible.
is, yeah, it's weird. It's like you think about like different CODs and I don't know, go back to Black Ops 3, and it's anyone could really have their day.
No, that's what's so bizarre about it. So I guess we'll see.
How much do you think the crowd buff is like a thing that contributes?
At this point, that was what was so fun about the Ultra Major was that the Ultra actually had fans there.
Dude,
did.
Ultra Major was so.
So the
good.
Ultra
Ultra
fans v the Optic fans was just so juicy.
It is juicy.
Mhm.
It's good.
For the first
I
time.
mean, yeah. I mean, was it versus the Optic fans, or was it just Optic fans
they
who,
put on their Ultra jerseys.
who
real quick.
are Ultra fans until Ultra plays Optic, and then the crowd kind of gets really. You couldn't tell where the crowd was at. I feel like
Yeah.
in that match.
It's kind of fun though. I mean, again, I've referenced it before, but going back to when we went to World War II, it's cool to see the crowd does tend to split.
Once Optic's eliminated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they'll get into separate sections and actually just cheer for.
That was
one side or
always the
other.
experience. It was like back in the LG formal days. It was
Mhm.
like Optic gets eliminated. Time to root for formal.
Yeah. That's great.
Puts on LG jersey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somehow, like every time, there's like different sets of jerseys every single time at the front row. It's like,
Yeah.
how is this possible?
Oh no, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a pretty good, I think, overall talk of MW3 so far.
Yeah.
So I mean, before we talk about the COD League specifically,
Mhm.
anything Black Ops 6 is revealed on June 9th, so
Yes.
this podcast might come out like right when that's coming out.
Yeah.
So I don't know, any expectations or hopes for Black Ops 6 at this point? Do you see the camos?
Camos
Those looked futuristic.
It was like Black Ops 4.5
Or
like
Black Ops 3.5?
Black Ops 3.5. I mean, I was so happy with that picture. Like you think Gulf War, it's like, oh, it's probably like another Cold War-esque, kind of. But
Yeah.
from that leak, looked pretty cool.
I mean, I've always begged for them to go like the sci-fi route where like, they don't
Yes.
actually go Cold War, but like an alternate fiction reality
yeah,
where like
absolutely, where they had the technology.
comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I am curious though, because this is going to be so COD HQ is now like like the central
Mhm.
hub, and when they announced that, is pretty much every Call of Duty going forward is going to be on the same engine.
Mhm.
This will be the first Treyarch on the same
That's officially on
the same engine as like. Is
'Cause
that,
I think Cold War was technically on the engine, but I'm not sure how that
Yeah.
worked out.
Yeah.
Because Cold War, perfect game.
Great,
Love
yeah.
that game.
yeah,
Everything about it.
and so I'm curious about with the per the article. I don't know who it was, but it was Activision talking about COD HQ, and that don't worry, there's still going to be differences in each game. I just
Sure
wonder
there
how
will be,
much
yeah.
difference they're going to be.
Let's hope Treyarch really establishes their
I know.
dominance here.
So yeah, I'm excited.
Sledgehammer definitely bent the knee.
They did.
They bent the knee big time.
They did, unfortunately.
Am I twisted for this? Because
Yes.
remember they were gonna they said they're gonna call this game like Advanced Warfare 2, right?
That was originally going to be.
That was the
like
original.
that was like the rumor going around, but then things get scrapped. And like, wasn't Treyarch originally supposed to be the one that already released? And
Well, so what
now
happened
they
was
got
originally
extended?
they started giving everybody a longer cycle to develop. So I think that's how it played out. I'm not sure exactly.
I'm wondering if there's like a play there where it's like maybe this next one is like what was actually like Advanced Warfare 2, and we get.
I don't know. I guess we'll know on June 9th. I think the gameplay's going to get revealed.
Do we ever see Uplink again?
Yes.
One day.
We
Yes.
think one day we see Uplink again.
I just like there's two.
Control is like I hate watching Control. I just skip it.
Yeah,
It's-
I agree. I mean, Control versus Uplink. Uplink is obviously more interesting.
Control.
Especially Control in BO4 was awesome
Yes.
because of specialists.
Yes.
Yeah.
But since it's just gotten more and more like militaristically strategic
Yeah.
Yeah.
Defense and
defense round 5.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's like,
So lame.
yeah. So
Yeah. I don't know.
still a CTF fan.
With me too. I do like CTF.
Yeah.
World War II CTF.
So fun.
In terms of if we'll ever see jetpacks again or uplink again, I hope so.
I know you
Kind of wonder if
Fair enough.
IW, with like that being like the most downvoted
hated
trailer
It was, I mean,
of all time,
yeah.
which was so.
That put some PTSD on all
Yeah.
on all Activision.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know it's gonna get revealed here soon, so we probably shouldn't be too guessing too much into it. But
Yep.
I do think it's gonna be. I mean, Treyarch hasn't let us know
I'm super
yet, so-
optimistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the biggest news then and talk. And this will lead into our next conversation, which is about the CDL, the formatting, the future of esports. We had a little bit of a conversation about this in the last podcast, but I think a lot's changed since then. Specifically, kickstarted when Scump and Hex sued Activision. So that was in March. They announced that they were, or end of April or February, they announced that they were suing Activision. That was just massive news. And then that led to on March 13th, it was announced that they are into an arbitration process, which means that it's unlike a courtroom.
Mhm.
They both basically give their argument to an arbitrator, and then they both agree to let the arbitrator decide on if there will be a payout or settlement or something along those lines.
Mhm.
That's what happened. Then what happened was the huge announcement recently was the massive changes the CDL announced to the league and the relationship between the league and the teams. That was announced about 2 months ago. And it was pretty well received, I would
Yes.
say, by the COD community. There were 4 big things. This is obviously old news to most of you, but I think it's worth just to kind of set the table so we're all on the same page here. Outstanding entry fees will be eliminated, and any fees previously collected from teams will be returned in full. Teams will earn increased revenue tied into the sale of their in-game merchandise and team bundles, and now Champs bundles as well. They will recognize that hosting large-scale events are vital to the team and the CDL community, and will increase existing event subsidy amounts for teams organizing live in-person events such as majors, opens, and champs. And teams will receive a 2-year minimum guarantee of revenue so they can continue investing in the Call of Duty League with more peace of mind.
What does that even mean? Like you're guaranteeing them revenue by like, are they just going to give them money?
A revenue split between the teams, which is very similar to how the NFL does it, I think, because the NFL revenue splits between the league office and the rest of the team. So I think it's something along those lines, but a little bit different with Activision since they are Activision.
Yeah.
So it's going to give a bigger budget teams probably for each
Yeah.
season.
Huge news, though. I mean, that's for them to actually give money back is
So it was never
Incredible.
confirmed that these were directly connected to Scump and Hex suing, but it seems unlikely that these had no correlation. Like it seems very likely that they're correlated in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with that in mind, there's been a lot of questions about what the future of the CDL will hold.
Yep.
Those people are not very happy with the current system, the open system. The qualifying matches aren't ideal. Only having 4 majors. It's like, what is happening here? So, what are your thoughts right now on the current state of the league? Where are you at with it?
They got to get rid of online
COD.
They got to get rid of the online qualifier stuff. It's so, I feel like no one cares, especially when they do it like this seasonally thing. Like, it's just like no one cares. We're just waiting for the majors to come up. Yeah, it just has to they have to stop doing online. Like, COVID happened, and then we just became complacent with the idea that this is going to be an online thing, and then we just kept doing it because it's cheaper, but it's just so unentertaining.
Yeah, I would mostly agree. I mean, thinking back to the CWL, the league matches were all right because it was connected to the Call of Duty World League Championship that predated CoD Champs. And it was special because they'd fly all the players into Columbus. They'd all compete on land together. And it was very vibey.
Yeah.
And so, yes, some of those qualifying matches didn't matter as much, but it was on land. It felt special because it happened once per year. So that was cool.
I wonder what happened with, so the Overwatch League, when they used to do it, like they had like a place where they did their events, and they didn't have like a huge like arena for every single time they had like people just playing their single matches together. Like they just had like a tiny room with like some bleachers, like, I don't know, 50 people or maybe 100 people or something, and then just have the teams play. Even something like that for just your regular season games, I think would be better for COD.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people would continue showing up for that. I mean, Overwatch League obviously kind of is gone now.
I mean, the baseline for me is as few qualifier matches, as few league matches as possible, the better. And with how the CWL did it, where it only happened once per year and it felt interesting and special, or sometimes twice per year, like at specific times per year, so it felt special. Like this, right now, it's like qualifiers, yay, and they happen 4 times, and it's all online. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for just, and then you're seeing teams play that you don't care to see play. Especially now.
And teams aren't even trying to win. It's like, then you have dumb upsets and people just complain and whine about the connections and the servers, and you hear the same conversations over and over again about the lag.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Sam, what fix this for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the first step is in, right? Breaking that entry fee and breaking that barrier into entry. And so what I would hope to see is something more along the lines of what we have in HCS, where it's, open tournaments, and kind of, how they do it is, they still do have like the online, like, pro point, tournaments. And so, it's not just like set matches versus different teams. It's an actual tournament format, where, like the teams that have obviously perform the best are going to have way better seeds, and then
they like the 10Ks and stuff.
10Ks, and like think about like the old 5Ks and 10Ks from Call of Duty, and so then like certain
does it
teams,
reset at some point during the season?
I don't think it resets like the points. I don't believe, but you have situations where like teams like OpTic and FaZe and them may not need to compete in every single one because they already have enough, and they've already confirmed their slot in the pool play. And so like I think prior to HES London, which was the most recent one, like OpTic and FaZe may have not even played in the last 2 or last one because they didn't need to, which that might be seen as a negative, but
That's lazy.
At the same time, maybe get to see different teams play. But
that's really reminiscent of like what 2Ks were back in the day. That's exactly what happened.
Which I think is a overall better system. It's more interesting to see open teams as well trying to compete. You probably are going to still have the same teams win because just the way the talent lays out. But having open tournaments where you have your set big name teams in the pool play, but then you get to have the top 4 open teams compete with them. And some cases, I think there was one HCS this year or last year where a open team went pretty far into pool play and into the championship bracket, which is pretty cool. So I don't know. I do hope that that is what we're more aligning to now, where it's, teams are not necessarily locked in. It's going to be the best still get in. Then you have an open tournament style. But I don't know what that means in terms of like skins and stuff like that. Like, because you can't guarantee a team if they're not like part of a
that's the problem.
Sanctioned
At
league.
the end of the day, you're going to run into this legal problem with teams in the COD league.
Yes.
As long as we have an official Activision COD league, it's hard to picture that the amateur bracket or the amateur scene will ever be that open. It feels like it'll always just be this separate thing. And maybe they'll do some nice charity match.
Let's
essentially
like dissolve it or something.
Yeah.
Like they did Overwatch.
Yeah. Which, I mean, again, people have talked about that's a possibility. I would say it's less likely now that Activision's been purchased by Microsoft. But you never know. Maybe Microsoft has different plans for it. Like Adam was saying, if you pulled together the entirety of Microsoft Esports, all titles that they have their fingers in, then suddenly you could put on some pretty epic events, and maybe that's a different way. There's a different way to do esports out there than what we're currently been trying, this traditional sports route for esports, essentially, which I've never agreed with fundamentally.
Yeah. I mean, just in terms of the money that's poured into these events, where you have these casters and these, large scale broadcasts, it's a ton of money to pour in, which I'm sure they're not making that back for these.
Seems unlikely.
Seems very unlikely. And they're probably just,
and that's Adam's point, is like, instead you can lower the fixed costs by having all these events in the same place at the same time.
Yep.
And then it'd be epic for fans. You'll sell more tickets. You'll have more people involved. You can go an extra day or two and just pack it all into one huge weekend and make it epic.
Yeah. Something else to consider too. I don't know how much or how familiar you guys are with LVT Halo or ever heard of LVT Halo.
Enlighten me.
Basically, LVT Halo is like the biggest
official Halo
affiliate.
So we're not okay. Interesting.
But HCS uses them to stream matches. So it helps them where LVT Halo will actually stream like CD streams, like lower tier matches, and like their own casters will do it. So that helps lowers HCS's budget of, hey, we don't have to hire 2 casters for every single one.
You don't have to have management for all these people.
Exactly.
And stuff.
Plus LVT Halo gets their community involved too. So I think that's like a phenomenal way of thinking about, like, if like Scump and the Flank were to take over a broadcast of, like
Bravo
Champs
Stream.
or Bravo Stream, where maybe it's not so expensive to Call of Duty to hire someone, and maybe there's a share of revenue between Flank and Call of Duty. I
think those are the options that should be explored.
Yes.
And I think that's something that Adam was talking about a little bit in his tweets there, was about the potential for different ways to broadcast and different ways to get that out there. Like, do you need to partner with YouTube, or can you find additional routes or new routes to go?
Yeah. Because like you think about, using community people and big, names in the community, where you don't have to just up front like pour a big pile of cash on them. Maybe it's more of like, hey, as we grow, you grow too, and we're going to use you for all of our streams. It's just the problem is, Call of Duty is so locked tight on their IP and doesn't want anyone else to touch it. That makes things hard too. So it's a hard thing to navigate, I know, with legality, but man, if you get the community involved and let them do their thing, it's going to end up being better for everyone. It's going to be less cost to you. And like, if you give them a share of the revenue of these events too, I just see this amazing relationship happen. And
yeah, 'cause I mean, right now, obviously the advantage for the teams is that YouTube will give you a bag for streaming on YouTube. Obviously, we don't know how big that bag is. I mean, maybe it's not as big as we think it is.
Yeah.
But so then that money goes to the league. They can league share the revenue, and so it's a pretty good win for the league teams and probably the league itself. But in the long run, this has always been the argument. In the long run, is the best thing for the league. Are you sacrificing the future of the league for the money up front? Can you put the money up front to good use that actually ends up growing the league? Therefore, it's actually worth going with YouTube in the long run. Like, those are the, I guess, the arguments you have to make. Like, if you take the money with YouTube, then you have to use that money most effectively to grow the league, invest in the league. And then you can maybe build a league naturally through YouTube, but it's just gonna be a different way to build it. And that would probably require partnering with YouTubers, using the YouTubers as a catalyst for growth of the league, building it up from the ground up, helping pro players build YouTube channels and things along those lines. But otherwise, the other option is you go on to Twitch, you let people stream whatever they want to stream, let Scump have 200,000 viewers and just see what happens. Or you can find another way to do it. Like you said, I mean, the idea of co-streaming with a Bravo stream, a Charlie stream with Scump doing Bravo, Zuma doing Charlie, and then like they can build the narratives with the pro or the amateur players and the pro players and those things with huge open brackets. And you have all like methods out there, like codcasting the open bracket and like
on the ground.
Yeah, like you bring in these guys and then, goodness, these pro players are all looking for jobs.
Absolutely.
Help them out, man.
That'd be great. Yeah, like if we just had like a ground crew of like old retired pro CODs, and doing interviews and stuff like that, it'd be great.
Yeah, dude, Parasite and Killa, just
absolutely
door to door.
Yeah,
that needs to be a TV show. Parasite and Killa door to door.
Yeah, I don't know. So, what to you? I mean, like Rex, what are your thoughts then? Like, what to you would be if you were the commissioner of the COD League right now? Shout out Kyber for making this a question. If you're the commissioner of the COD League right now, would you? What change would you make right immediately? What would be your executive action? What would you sign in?
To do? Like we talked about Adam Apicella, and I sort of think that's right. He talks about like less people, like audience, and more people playing in open brackets and rising up. With the whole franchise system, you can't do that for the teams. That's the hard part where it's like you almost need to elevate the challengers scene, which I think is going to turn. I think challengers is going to somewhat go away, and it's going to turn into college COD, and that's what I think people should be doing. Like people who are like want to do challengers or college COD. I think college, whatever. Maybe I'm biased or whatever. But I think people should be, if you're interested in becoming a pro, start thinking about doing college COD first. And go to college. So because here's the thing. A lot of these pros have
don't go to college.
Don't go to college. I mean, maybe they do, whatever, but like they end up with no other
double major and
skills or anything.
Double major and learn coding.
So they kind of are very reliant on being a pro. And then it's like, and if you don't make pro, you're really putting yourself in a situation.
No, it's actually interesting.
I think go to college COD, do that, get your degree, and then things will grow from there. I think college COD is going to get bigger.
What about the COD League teams? So we had this going for a little while when the COD League teams had challengers teams. Now it's mostly not academy teams. Now it's mostly not happening. But could you build in some official? Could you actually like make it happen? Where you have an official challengers. Every team has to have an amateur team. They have to compete. You bring in rosters. There's it's a little bit. Maybe you can like, if there's a way for the contracts to work where they don't have to sign like these big contracts, because like right now there's no contracts. It'd be better if they had like, could you pay them $1,000 a month, not $50,000 a year, but like $1,000 a month to be on your challengers team.
Yeah,
and build the league out that way.
Yeah, that was gonna be my biggest thing was with how the current salaries are.
And then you could do an open bracket style with that. It's like you have your teams, and then you can have OpTic's.
Then they're official teams.
Teams like Farrico or whatever coming in and doing something.
Which then would be interesting because then you could have like OpTic Academy playing OpTic in a match, and like it'd be interesting to have like that tournament happen like once a year, the open tournament.
Yeah,
it'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the money for the salaries, specifically, is gonna would have to change. Like,
teams don't want to pay $50K for subs or amateur players.
Just a lot of money, going in, and I get it. The pros specifically are superstars, and they want their money, but I feel like you still got to make them, pay them a livable wage, obviously, but have there be incentive to winning games where you get more money or whatever it is. That's just going back to what we talked about at the beginning of it. Just seems like there's too much comfort right now where it's they have the money that they have and they're good to sit on it. But
okay, so if you had unlimited power, if you were the Senate
The Senate. I am
Yeah.
the
Like,
Senate.
here's the thing with like
What'd you
most
do?
sports. There's never like this is the one league and that's all there is. They have NBA, but they also have the NCAA doing their
Right.
things as college football or college basketball and college football. Then soccer, you have your Premier Leagues, but then you also have
League 2, League 3, League 4.
that everyone pays attention to those too because everything funnels into each other, and they're fun to watch. And there needs to be something like that for Call of Duty and for esports in general. I don't know for sure how you can do something like that, but there needs to be more than just the one thing because that becomes repetitive.
Right.
You need another environment. for
Essentially,
things to live
they've
in.
tried to replicate the MLB system with unlimited salary caps, let teams spend the money they want, revenue share. But then again, we've seen it in the MLB, talent, when there's unlimited salaries, talent sucks to the top. And the
Yeah.
top teams always, the Dodgers,
and that probably
the
what it is
Yankees,
now.
the Red Sox end up just being the best teams every year.
Mhm.
But the MLB, even though, has a built-out farm system, single A, double A, triple A, that all lead into the majors. So there's plenty of professional baseball players.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, college football is the funnel for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But like the fact that there is a literal gated community around the CDL, and that like essentially the pro players decide who's in and who's out
Mhm.
because they're the ones who make their own rosters. And when
Yeah.
there's only 12 teams, it's like, dude,
There's
the
nothing.
top 50 players in the world, that's all you get.
Yeah.
And it's the top 50 players who are friends in the world. That's
Mhm.
really what it ends up being.
And when one league is like it's just the top 4 teams, and then everybody else is just there.
Yeah.
And it's really what it is. Like no
And
one
then they
wants-
barely play.
Yeah, and they
So
barely
true.
play. It's like I wish I had something else to pay attention to for other than this because I don't want to watch Breach play Rocker.
That's the hardest thing is like every weekend. It's like, well, I'll pick out this one match that I want to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everything else, like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
In which like things exist, but if they could get some support from Microsoft or Activision to make it something that people want to pay attention
Mhm.
to, also it'd be cool.
So with that said, like what would be the first change you implement then? Like summarizing that down, like what would be the first change that you as the almighty powerful commissioner would implement?
I don't know. Did Sam answer this?
I mean, it's got to be. If you're not going to expand with, you know,
Actual expansion teams.
yeah, expansion teams. I mean, I'm still thinking about not even having, like, you have partnered organizations, but it's still like it's still a fight for your right into the the top. Where it's like every single major, you're building pro points, and the more pro points you have, the better you are, which is what we had in CWL era, kind of thing. And I don't know.
You do it a little bit for COD Champs right now. Obviously, you have the COD Champs culmination at the end. You qualify for COD Champs, which
Yeah.
essentially is pro points
Mhm.
to a degree.
But there's no one else than the top 12 that can.
But the
even-
pro points is what decided the pro points reduced the need. You don't need qualifiers at that point.
Yeah.
Because you have pro points.
Yes, correct. Yeah, I guess my thing is just you have to eliminate the barrier to entry. Like, I feel like you're seeing it more and more now with, like, heck, I think Tom Gravity tweeted out, like, he's down because it's just like it's some of these top challengers players. It's still impossible to get in the league. Like, if you don't get picked up, you don't get picked up, even if you're the best player. In challengers. So like there has to be elements of what we had before of
A skill-based
merit system where you can build a team as like a young strappy team and E-United. These guys just come together and they can dominate at any given time. To me, that was the most exciting.
That's agreed.
That was
When E-United became E-United, that might
so
be one
cool.
of we're going to talk about the best years of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But that's one of the best moments of Call
So
of Duty.
cool.
Which happened in
United
one of the
was
worst
so
games.
nuts.
Just yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just see, like seeing guys that you may have never heard of compete and be able to, on their merit of their skill, rather than friendships or how much money that whatever it is.
Mhm.
It's that what builds like this excitement. Like, man, you have your OpTic, you have your phase, you have your ultras, but then you have the scrappy guys that can like come in and at any given time take over.
You got to take out the franchise system. That's really what it boils down to.
That's what I'm saying is I think at the end of the day.
So that you get the ultimate power and then abolish your power.
Absolutely.
We'll do exactly what the orgs hate. And it's like, we're taking this down.
I will take my
You are now the commissioner of the CDL. I decree the CDL is demolished.
And I no longer have a job.
Yeah.
So
I will take the communism that I had.
George Washington
and then give,
recanting his presidency.
yes, absolutely.
But that's what they need to do. They need to open it up. It's like they got money hungry with these orgs to bring them in. It's like, give us $20,000 trillion or whatever, and we'll get you on this in here, and then you're guaranteed in. But they shouldn't have done that in the first place. They should have kept it light and fun. It's like, we own COD now. We're going to be just throwing open events that anyone can come to and come play, and everyone has a chance of winning because everyone plays the game that watches for the most part, and that's what people want to do. And it's the idea that, oh, the dream team, like that could be me, you know?
Well, yeah,
That's
and
what
then
you
going
like
to
envision.
and not only that, but like, you know, over all those years, think about how many thousands and thousands of people played in LAN events. If you play in a LAN event, your odds of it attaches you to the scene in some way.
Yes.
Hey, when you're in a LAN event, just the environment's there's like hundreds of thousands of other people all that love COD, and you get to hang out with them.
every single one of those
and
events,
you get to play COD with the other people. Even if you get stomped,
even if
it's
you
still an
attend the events,
experience.
you get to go play COD against other people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's like, and so all that's just so much that's lost now. It's like
They lost that light, that fun just aspect for everybody. It
the
became,
community building aspect of
Yeah.
it
It
was
became
lost.
this very ego driven thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you lost the feeling of, hey, maybe I could do this. You know, I mean, heck,
It's nice to
we
try.
competed in Black Ops 3.
We were close, man. We were close.
It's nice to
we
try.
thought we had a chance.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Like it's cool to even have the chance. You know, even if you suck, which was the case in my case, but it's cool to like anyone can do it.
Yeah.
You're still gonna have like the best is still gonna be the best.
Yeah. You
That-
still have
that-
your stage.
That's not going away.
You still have your stage. You still have your concessions and your beer and everything's going on.
Yeah.
Everyone's, you get drunk. Then you go play.
But I think
I got
about
a match in 2 hours. I'm
Yeah.
getting out.
Yeah.
I'm watching other matches. Then I'm going to go play. You're going to see people who are really sweating and really taking it.
But man, it's like
seriously.
even
Some
back
people-
into World War II, you think about it, like got a team like Complexity,
Mhm.
Dashy made champs on Complexity in World War II, and I was sitting there reffing that match. I'm like, holy crap, this Dashy kid is insane,
Ridiculous.
and he's playing with Sensor, and it's like,
Oh, yeah.
but they
forgot about
qualified for champs. OpTic didn't. They made they missed out on champs, and Complexity was there playing
Yeah.
thanks to Dashy,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and so it's like guys like that were like, you just don't get to see that now,
No.
and people don't have the starts like that.
And then Dashy makes it into the leagues. Now it's
Or
like there's players now.
Singularity with Insight and Kleenex. It's like they
Mhm.
beat people at champs, and you're
Yeah.
like, holy crap, who are these guys?
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
get picked up.
Yeah.
And that can't happen now.
And then who else was it? Wasn't Tommy on like Vitality that?
Oh yeah,
Tommy and
Dylan Codd as well.
Dylan Cobb was on there. It's like
Yeah.
just these just awesome like these Lightning
Cammy
Pandas
was on like units in
Yeah.
COD champs and BO4. Lightning Pandas,
Dylan,
like Exotic and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh crap! Who's that guy?
You always get fun org names too.
Yes. Who's that guy? Oh my word! I'm gonna kill. I'm not gonna kill myself. I'm gonna, sorry. I did that out. That's not good. Who is the guy? Who's like the
Goonjar.
S&D guy streamer? Long
Proto.
hair.
Oh,
Who is
Kenny
that
Rex or Teddy Rex.
Yes.
Teddy Rex.
Yes. Oh my word!
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's a
I
beast.
forgot.
I love
Yes,
Teddy Rex.
Yes, he would get so hyped for his squad.
Bro,
Dude, he
Teddy
was
Rex.
great.
He was goated.
Is he still streaming?
He's
I don't
still
even know.
streaming.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I love reffing him. He gets so hyped.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Guys like that, you know,
Sorry.
who build names for themselves in the scene. So
That's
So if
that's
I
what's
was the
missing.
commissioner, I would go this route. I would force teams to have amateur teams. Then you implement we have at least one like epic open bracket per year where you have to play with these amateur teams in the bracket, and then you implement more of this merit-based system, no qualifiers. The beginning, if you have qualifiers, it's only for the first tournament.
Hmm.
You have qualifiers for the first tournament, and from then on, it's a merit-based based off COD Champs points or Champs points, COD points, and then that is no more qualifiers, more tournament.
Hmm.
And you just only have tournaments, one roughly per month.
Yep.
You have about 8 tournaments in the year. Then that's
Mhm.
pretty good.
It's pretty
With
good.
One open bracket tournament with the amateur teams, at least one, maybe 2,
Mhm.
and then require each team of those 8 to host open bracket tournaments at their events, and the league subsidizes that to help them pay for it. That's what I would do.
And then you can't enforce this, but man, I want to see 8s again so bad. Like we don't like Black Ops 3 could watch Formal play 8s for like
hours,
7 hours every single night, and it was so much fun to watch these different pros playing together that you would otherwise never see. It just seems the passion is just no longer there.
Then maybe you have to incentivize teams in some way to help create content. You'd have to build that out in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe give them a platform, let them do watch parties, have team watch party areas where you build it into the system where each team is watch partying. You can go watch the Rocker watch party. You can go watch the Legion watch party. Instead of just having the Optic watch party, which has always been a bit weird to me that they're the only ones that do it.
Yep.
But yeah, regardless, I think those are all things that you can build in where you can double down on the content league wide, open bracket, COD points, qualifiers only once per year at the beginning, and then go from there.
Yep.
It's just it seems obvious. I don't know. This is crazy. It's not.
It's just, I think at the end of the day, like we've said before, is there's higher ups that want to guarantee a return.
Yeah. There's CFOs out there who just want to see the bottom line and they want to see positive income. And that's what they want to see. They're not seeing it.
Yeah.
Which means there's no more budget allocated to the COD League.
Yep.
So yeah.
Which is rough.
That's what's tough. So I don't know, drop your comments down below about that because I want to hear what you guys have to say on that end.
Yep.
So let's get into the juice of this. So this should help us kind of maybe collect our thoughts on what makes Call of Duty exciting, interesting, entertaining as fans. So with that said, let's head into this final segment, ranking the best COD seasons of all time since Black Ops 2. And we're doing this from a fan's perspective. So we're talking about what is the most entertaining Call of Duties, what makes for the best league, what makes for the best COD year. So you can take in all the factors, COD games, COD pros, the storylines of the time, the content in the scene, the involvement from the fans' perspective, open brackets, events, how many events there were.
Should we do worst to best?
Sure. Let's do worst to best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Modern Warfare.
The worst year of all time.
There were some redeeming factors. And I would argue MW2 may have been worse.
I think MW2 is worse.
Okay. What would put it over the edge for you? Like what specifically?
Well, MW2, you would argue that there were LAN events, right, for MW2. So that would be the redeeming factor.
Yep.
Yeah. But MW 2019 was like the CDL's first year. So the hype's there.
The hype was there. You had emerging players and
5 players.
It was 5v5. No, it's 5v5.
Yeah.
Yep.
And which is interesting.
It is.
Right? Better or worse. So from an entertainment perspective, you can argue both
some
sides.
Of the old veterans still.
S&D was awesome
around.
in that game.
S&D was fun to play that.
And watch.
Yeah.
And to be fair, watching the game was more fun than playing the game, but then there was domination. And that is a big downer.
That's
a big downer. I mean, that's hard to beat. And the maps were horrible. But I mean, MW2 maps were not much better. No. So for me, it's one of the two as worst. But there were LAN events in MW2. Worse, in my opinion, worst game though. So I prefer watching and even playing MW 2019 versus MW2.
Yeah.
They're both if we were tier listing, they're both F tier, let's be honest. But I don't know. Vote. Let's vote. Let's do a quick vote here on these bottom two. Bottom. Which one's the worst?
MW2.
Sam?
I would say MW.
I'm gonna go MW2.
Okay. That's okay. Hey, that's okay.
Trash. Garbage.
So
now next up, I'll start typing these down.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking some Vanguard. In terms of gameplay. That was
for watching it.
Yes, that was hard. I know
Vanguard was fun.
There's a fanboy in this room. I kind of love Vanguard.
I know you do, but man, that game,
it's weird.
It's hard because, for doing fans perspective, I hated playing Vanguard.
I didn't like that.
I didn't play.
I love Vanguard.
what was it that you
I
liked
don't know
about
why
it?
I like it so much.
It was
Something about how the guns were so smooth in the game. It was a different type of smoothness than this game.
Yeah.
Like, and the maps, I really did like the maps in that game.
Mhm.
And like, I don't know, the automaton was so fun. Something about the game. I just personally loved watching it and playing it. But
any other Call of Duties that you guys want to throw out that might be around the same area of bottomness?
IW. But as a fan, there was a lot of good things that happened during the game.
Yeah,
in the COD League season, there were great events that year.
Yep.
So I will give them that. The events obviously that was MLG era.
United.
The events themselves were epic. The storylines that year were really good too, with emerging teams, EU, Rise, Optic. Envy was dominant.
Yeah.
It's like frick, man.
Yeah. I'm kind of in this where I think I have a higher view of IW than you both do, again, because of jetpacks and uplink. But I understand.
Looking back on it, it's always like, we were too hard on it.
Yeah.
You know?
We definitely were too hard on it.
Competitively
Let's be honest,
the gunplay in the game sucks.
It was a little
It's
rough.
terrible. It's probably, in my opinion, the least fun guns we've ever had.
Very much was like the MV4.
And you die so fast. Like the gunfights themselves, like you insta kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And coming off BO3, where like the BO3 gunfights were epic.
Yeah.
And then this game was just like,
there was some rough gunplay in that one, that's for sure.
Okay, but other options, I mean, World War II, one could argue, would be up there or down there. MW3 this year so far, interesting, but like not like, I wouldn't say great.
Yeah.
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 Crazy.
I mean, every other Call of Duty that I'm thinking of from Black Ops 2, I mean, Black Ops 2, Ghosts, AW, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, all those games, I'm like, I don't think any of them are going to be down there.
I don't think so, either.
So, part of me is like, I think, we're probably going to go between Vanguard and IW, maybe, if we want to put it down there.
Yeah, so right now we've got MW2 at last, MW 2019 at second last. Okay, I mean, that when you put it in that perspective, when you go BO2 and you go through the list,
There's some heavy hitters compared.
Vanguard's probably down there. You also had a lot of
not World War II.
I will say the difference for me is that Vanguard had online COD. You're playing, a lot of the matches were online.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Cold War.
Yeah. Cold War was fun to watch.
Cold War was hella fun. Man, Cold War was hella fun. And there was a distinct downgrade in fun after going into Vanguard.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good argument there, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't know. I would say Vanguard. That'd be my vote.
I'm fine with Vanguard there, which that is 3 of the last 4 CODs. So 3 of the last 5.
CDL era, CDL era has been rough.
CDL era's rough, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've eliminated those 2.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. That
World War II next.
I guess.
How high were you guys on World War II?
World War II is hard. So here, again, think of it as a fan. I enjoyed playing that game competitively a ton, just because the fundamentals were there. Like
playing it was maybe more fun than watching it.
Probably.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I will say though, like that was kind of
the league format year was beautiful that year.
League format was great. Plus you had the added benefit of the storylines of Optic breaking up was like a huge.
That was an epic year.
And
I was there that night.
And then Champs was just being there.
FaZe while watching Optic break up in the side.
That's crazy. It's like, it's probably more nostalgic for me too, because we went there and that was fun to watch Champs and all that too.
Just decided so in that moment when Optic broke up, I mean, there's literally not like there's like 4. It was like Attach's mom was watching like this FaZe match, and then like 600 people were watching Optic, like because they were fighting on they were playing on like the D stage, and there's like the last 2 matches of the whole night.
Yeah,
the day got delayed, so it was like 2 a.m. And so it was the last 2 matches, and it was like FaZe versus some random team, open bracket thing, I think. And then Optic getting like eliminated, and it was like literally hundreds of people over there, and like Attach's mom watching over here with me reffing this match, and I was like, wow, this is great.
Oh my word!
I don't even know. I mean, I probably wasn't even Attach's mom. I don't even know. There was someone's mom.
Someone's mom was there.
But yeah, so, but I'm with you. Like that year, the Rise Nation team.
Rise Nation
there
team
was
was
some
really
cool
cool.
stuff that happened in the year, but
There
they
was.
were TK.
LG.
That's when Kenny's breakthrough year was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, when it comes to like the best teams, the dominant teams weren't as good that year.
Yeah.
So then there's like this new age of guys, the World War II. It was a weird year.
Yeah.
So I can see the argument, but I will say, I mean, this year so far,
I feel like World War II wasn't interesting until the end.
it got better by the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I might put this year like.
Because there's all 2Ks in World War II. Like, remember, that's what everyone was just like, you always had to be on
For the
playing.
2Ks.
We also had the censor wire
Well,
situation.
that was the censor.
Yeah, center wire.
Yeah.
The COD iceberg.
Yes. Yeah. Because he was pissed off because Nameless's team was doing the same thing that they were doing, but then they got caught.
Well, they were like tied with points, and so like somehow it was
They
the
went to their
situation-
hotel room and like played matches.
They
and
were,
matches
yeah, they had
like
people
that.
filling in for them to play.
That's right,
To play the
Yeah.
2Ks because it was just such a waste of time, or the
Yes.
league match, the random like weekly matches you have to
That's
play on
right, yeah.
GBs.
Yeah. You should have like win like 2 or
Five per
5 a
week,
day or something.
5 a day,
Yeah,
which
whatever it was.
is a grind. You know, fair enough.
Man, yeah, there's some good stuff. And like, so like, then pulling it back to current day,
Yeah,
what's been like the
because
hot
what's the draw right
storylines?
now? You know, like for me right now this year it's good because OpTic's good.
Mhm.
You have like the dominant teams make it interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
For a completely different
Yeah.
reason. Where like
Yeah.
in MW2 there were dominant teams, but they weren't from the known players at the time
Mhm.
for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like FaZe has like solidified themselves as the villains of the league. Like
Yeah.
going from like
And Scrap was I mean, again, we talked about this last podcast, but like he's the most needed villain the CDL
Yes.
needed.
Yeah.
I mean, the Scrap V draws the stuff has been so fun. I mean, it's
insane.
outrageous.
I mean, it's
but
gotten a little bit wild.
a little
but,
wild,
yeah.
but it's good time.
Yeah.
It fits COD perfectly, and
it
it like
does.
it brings you back to the OG days.
Mhm.
When you Nade and Aches and everyone, all the random stupid drama that would happen constantly with
Yeah.
OpTic House and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So-
we just need Draws or Scrap to push one another, and then we'll have
And then it'll be
Aches versus
good.
Nade.
It'll
Yeah,
be good.
Great. But yeah, so that it definitely is interesting. I don't know. Is it better than everything else, on the list?
To me, it's between this year and World War II and Cold War as the next one's up.
I'd agree with
So
that.
how would you order those three? World War II, Cold War, MW3.
Me personally, screw
Yeah.
faded. I don't know. World War II, Cold War, World War III.
I would go Cold War, MW2, World War II, MW3.
I'd probably do Cold War, MW3, World.
Oh, wait.
Okay, so we know that Cold War is one that by votes then.
It's true.
With those three, I think there's going to be other seats that are better. But yeah.
So you like Modern Warfare 3 more than
Okay, so now let's
World War
discuss.
II.
I'm a big fan of World War II.
Okay.
Now let's discuss World War II versus MW3.
Okay.
That's interesting. So World War II, LAN.
LAN.
I mean, the only thing going for it
World
is
War-
like, it's in that era before the
The
CDL.
great CWL system.
So you have
Mhm.
the hype of like EG coming in and winning champ.
MLG Dallas.
But
yeah.
I barely remember a lot of what happened until the end. And that's when I remember things kind of happening. Before that, OpTic's suck. They pick up methods and like, it's just, it's hard to care about really anything.
Because OpTic broke up in CWL Seattle, which was, I think, in
Like the beginning.
March.
Yeah, it was like
somewhere
super
in
early.
there. Somewhere in there.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Then you have Octane and
Mhm.
Methods going over to
because at that
Optic.
point, the best teams in the league were like Rise
Mhm.
and TK.
Yep.
And so then you had all of the up and coming players trying to find their way. So it's interesting. This year, why would you argue? Give me the steel man this year. Why is it so good this year?
I personally enjoy watching just the new era of COD. I think is fun to watch. It's a different way of playing. It's just the team play that you see happening, I think, is more entertaining now than it has been in the past. The things wrong with this year is that it's so top heavy. If it wasn't so top heavy,
Mhm.
I think this would be a different discussion because
It'd be pretty obvious at that point. Also, this year's not done yet, which does make it tough as well.
It's hard.
Right.
You're judging on a shortened curve, you
Yeah.
may say.
right. Like if it wasn't so top heavy, that would I think that's the
Yeah.
only thing
If-
stopping it.
I will say, I will take back what I said. If Carolina win champs,
This is the best year of all
This is the best
time.
year of all time. Mark it down on the
This
calendar.
year is fun. For sure, it's fun.
It is.
Yeah, I agree.
You see new players coming in like a Booza and Brezzy and 04, like people coming in who do interesting things and are fun. So I don't know. World War II
I'd be
didn't capture
okay.
me.
I'd be okay doing World War II below.
Yeah, it's tough. It is really tough. I'm okay with it. I think when you have all the drama, you throw in the drama this year as the cherry on top, then you can convince me. Not to mention, from a fan enjoyment, the watch parties this year have been a fun change of pace.
Yes.
So I will say, when it comes to online COD and how we're doing it in this new era, the Scump watch parties was an unforeseen positive. I did not
so
see
good,
coming.
man.
Yeah.
It's so much better than watching the broadcast.
It is, which is unfortunate. I'm surprised it feels so much better than watching the broadcast.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't like inherently love them at this point. Like that, like it's not like I'm a huge Scump fanboy or anything at this point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But just from like the conversations they have, they know the pros, so you get some behind the scenes tidbits at times.
Yeah.
And Scump actually really does do a good job of dialing in and like giving good feedback.
Oh,
So
he does it on purpose too. Like you can see him like reining. It's like, here we're talking about the game. Like,
Yeah.
let's not.
So
get
I
too off
really,
track.
really love how Scump dials in. And so, with those things considered, I'm okay with it. We'll put World War II at fourth to last.
Fourth to last World War II. Dang.
And then MW3.
What were the guns in that game again? It was the bar was up there, the FG,
the PPSH.
PPSH, and
Yeah,
that machine
STG.
pistol, STG.
Yep, the machine pistol.
See, there were some good metas in that game.
There
too.
was some really fun metas in that game.
The tree. Can't forget about the tree.
And the
Our dense
tree,
forest.
dude. The tree. Was it there? I don't know. Okay, so now we're down to BO2, Ghosts, AW, BO3, IW, BO4, and Cold War.
Cold
Oh, no,
War.
we just ranked Cold War. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
ranked
yeah.
Cold War. That's at 9.
My vote is on
IW or BO4? BO4.
I think I enjoyed BO4 more than IW.
I would agree. It's a fan.
I disagree, but that's fine.
Really, as a fan.
Generally, I just didn't really get into BO4 playing it or watching it. If I would have been like playing it, I maybe would have enjoyed watching it more.
I mean, I'm a BO4 stan. Like, I loved everything about that game.
Yep.
The slide canceling, the gunplay, the movement, the COD League itself. Last year of the CWL, I mean, COD Champs was epic. OpTic was great. Dashy breakout. You had E United, Simp and Abizi, Clay dominating. You had 100T coming into the league.
Yeah.
That team was great. 5v5.
LG won an event.
LG won a classic. Used the Rampart.
Gunless was really
was
good. Benched himself.
Formal.
Formal was hot as ever. Oh man, Dylan
COD.
That is
before
the incident.
before the downfall.
That is the year E United won, and
Yeah.
they picked up Simp. And when Simp came in,
And Simp came into the league, and he was literally like the hottest thing since hotness itself.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh,
Everyone's
dude.
talking about him, man.
he was a stud.
so for me, it's like there were so many good things in that game.
Yeah.
It's hard for me not to love that game.
Yeah, I love Black Ops 4.
So, but at this point, we're to our point in the rankings where like all of them are going to be really good.
Mhm.
I mean, IW. Again, league format was good. The competition was actually really high that year.
Mhm.
With
That's when E United came out to
Yeah,
play.
EU was great.
Gunless became a standout.
Rise was
star.
great, OpTic was great, and Envy was great. So
And
you
there
had
was
4 really great teams there,
Uplink still,
And-
yeah,
and you have Uplink.
Informal was a god.
Formal's a god, Scump's a god. So, like, to me, personally, I think the top 4, or at least would be, we'll all agree top 4 are BO4, AW, Ghosts? I'm a Ghost. I'm
Oh,
a Ghost.
man, I'm
fan.
not a ghost.
You're crazy for that.
The Ghost season.
Ghost is when I quit playing. It was
But
like,
the Ghost
I played
competitive
2 matches.
season,
I was like, no thanks. I'm
there
playing
was so
Minecraft.
much juicy drama
I will
in
say-
the Ghost competitive season, though.
I will say, Ghost. Part of the reason I would say that is because I was removed from the scene. So like, it would be unfair of me to say Ghost was bad because I did not actively watch.
So we are okay. This is actually something to consider. We are talking about this from the fan of from a fan's perspective of the
Mhm.
of competitive Call of Duty.
correct.
So there is an argument to be made about Black Ops 2 and Ghosts and even AW before the CWL actually.
AW was lit.
I loved it.
You can't deny how lit AW was. Black Ops 3 was probably number one. If we're gonna,
AW.
Ghost was a more interesting season.
No.
It was so much better.
so bad.
No way.
Ghost was so much more of an interesting season.
No way.
Dude,
That's
AW
so
was
biased.
the greatest.
No. I think BO3 is the number one for me. I'm just jumping to the top here. I
Yeah,
think
you are.
BO3.
We'll all agree on that one.
Right.
I can do BO3.
Okay, we can hop straight to the top and just put slot in BO3 right now
That's
if we
true.
want. I mean,
Yeah.
it is the goated year of Call of Duty.
Yeah. BO3 was phenomenal.
Everything about that game was so good.
So
And
dang
the
good.
competitive season itself, so good.
So dang good. You had 8s going, popping off. Every pro was streaming, man.
Oh,
S&D.
beautiful.
Dude, everything was just...
I remember the Optic Uplink Rise comeback.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
down like
12 to
0 or whatever.
0 or 2 or
And
something.
they came back and won it. Like, it was the most insane comeback I've ever seen.
It was incredible. And then like also too, like you think about like just the like the meta with the guns too, sniping of course too. Like
Yes, dude, bring back
Sniping?
snipers. That
Yeah.
we're totally
And the
discounting
maps.
that.
yeah, the maps, every map was just insane. Specialists were fun to see, watch. Kill streaks were also incredible to watch.
Yes.
Just everything about it, I think, was probably the pinnacle.
I will
of-
say that like the seasons, that's the first year of the CWL. It wasn't like as well organized.
True.
So I feel like the streams, that was during the MLG streaming days. And so like
I think
MLG.TV streaming days.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit harder to find.
Mhm.
So if there was an argument against it, it'd probably be that.
Yeah.
That like at times that it wasn't as easy to watch.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, obviously with champs, it was like, Envy was so good that year.
Yeah.
J-Cap Slasher, Apathy, and John.
Mhm.
And Optic was good too, though.
And then they choke a champs against Cloud9.
It's rough.
But like, I felt like that year you could hop into any match, you could watch it at any time. The players were so good. Everyone was streaming. It was so accessible. You felt like you were part of the teams that you
Courage
watched.
was popping off.
Mhm.
Courage, codcasting.
Him and
Yeah.
Nagafen
Fair
were
shout.
playing customs.
And Study v Nagafin, like sniping and stuff, was sick in that game.
So much fun.
BO3 was the best.
Yeah.
So I'm with you there. I mean, for me, Ghost as a season for me was like the most fun
I would
I
put
ever
Ghost-
had as a COD fan.
Ghost below Black Ops 4.
So, as someone who was probably the most invested, what was it about Ghost season?
So for me, it was like coming off of the Black Ops 2 year when I just started watching. So this was like, it was rooted, at this time, the scene was really driven through YouTube. So it was Scump and Nade Shot and all the COD pros posting on YouTube that drove the scene at the time. And then they started really diving into streaming around BO2 and into Ghost was when streaming really started going. So then at the time, you had a lot of players starting to stream. There was so much drama in the scene.
Mhm.
And obviously at the beginning, you had Complexity's dominance. So you could maybe dock some points off for that because they were almost too good. At the time, that's when I was like, probably at my peak Optic fandom.
Mhm.
Was watching Nade Shot and rooting for like the X Games.
Yeah.
Which the X Games, from a nostalgic fan of perspective, was my favorite event of all time.
Yeah, that's fun.
Just because it was the first time they were doing it. It's like, what in the world? Call of Duty at the X Games.
incredible.
And I grew up loving the X Games. Like for me, it was awesome. And then throughout the whole year, it was just an interesting battle between some of the top teams in the league at the time and just Complexity's dominance. So I can see why someone would say it's not as interesting of a year. But man, like when you look back on it, there were so many players who got their start in that season. The game created for some of the most interesting, epic search and destroy moments that we've ever seen. And there were some weird metas, like you could use shotguns at times and like different things. So it's like, for me, from a gun perspective, it was one of the more interesting games with guns because you had the MTAR and the Vector and the Remington and all these guns that were like really interesting. And the maps were so fun to watch. And so the strategy for search and destroy, you had the weird game mode of Blitz, which some people hated on Blitz.
Oh,
A lot of people hated Blitz.
I forgot about Blitz.
But I personally loved Blitz as a fan and playing it myself. But for me, it created a whole new skill set of like these sneaky players that were just actually really valuable, like Nade Shot. He was really good at the game because of Blitz, stuff like that. So for me, it's the most unique season. I can understand why someone might not put it high. I think for me, the interesting argument for us would be how good is BO2 from a fan perspective? Because at the time, it was a scattered league. Champs was in like freaking March or whatever.
Yeah. That is the thing is something to consider was like, like Champs being in March. It's like hype is there, and then it's like, well,
Yeah, the rest of the year, it was just
Mhm.
smaller events.
Yeah.
But the narratives were epic and it was awesome at the time as a fan. So that's what's
Definitely.
tough for me. It's like,
I mean, BO2 was like the year that it somewhat kind of caught on for me, competitive COD.
yeah.
And so it's kind of like the grandfather almost. Like there was Black Ops 1 had competitive COD, and I think JCap was like good in that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Black Ops 2 was like the year where like something was established.
Hardpoint. It was the first year for Hardpoint.
Is that? Yeah. So,
And score streaks.
that is crazy.
right. So, yeah, Black Ops 2 was fun. I'm trying to think of like the different storylines that happened.
I mean, it was really Optic versus Aches, and it was the Clayster and Complexity, and it was then, of course, Farico Impact with Killa and Parasite. So you had those like trifecta of teams.
Oh, and then Scump was like, who's the best in the game?
Yeah. And at that time, was Scump was rising to stardom on YouTube with hitting 1 million subscribers, him and Nadeshot. So like they became like superstars in the scene, but Optic as a team wasn't the best team in the game.
Mm-mm.
So it was a very interesting dynamic. Same thing in Ghost.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, those are obviously the most nostalgic seasons.
Yep.
From like a consistent fandom, I can see the argument to not have them 1 or 2,
Mhm.
but they for me they'd be really up there. But we're gonna have the biggest disagreement probably about BO2 and
Yep.
Ghosts.
I
I'm
think so
assuming.
too.
Okay, so if it was up to you, where would you put BO2 and Ghosts? So we have BO3 at number 1. So we have 2 through 7 to go here with BO2, Ghosts, AW, IW, and BO4.
AW goes below BO3.
I would put
Sheer above
BO4 above BO. I'd put BO4 second. I love BO4.
I don't know, Sam. You got to decide on that one.
This is where it's gonna get real tough.
Yeah. I'll tell you, up there, AW, BO4.
And then IW, Ghosts, and BO2 in some order.
Yeah.
That's honestly the order you just said it there.
I'd be okay with BO4 at number 2 because I too love BO4. AW is like my nostalgia, like
Sure.
child.
That's when you went all in on competitive
Yes.
COD.
Well, no, AW was fun too.
No,
though.
no.
The movement.
I'm
of the
not saying it's just
jetpack.
because of my nostalgia. I'm just saying that's kind of where I'm coming from too.
Yeah.
But I do
Obviously,
believe
from a
AW
COD fan perspective, again, where for you watched the least of BO4. I watched the least of AW because Champs was a little bit earlier that year as well. And so when Nadeshot retired, I was
Yes.
like, well, I'm done.
That was like really Advanced Warfare was like a year where like really anyone, because I don't think the age restriction was in yet.
No.
Huke,
So that's where
Huke
TJ
was
Halley
playing,
and Hook-
TJ.
Everyone was good, like
Methods?
anyone could
Yes,
do anything
everyone.
in that, and like you didn't know what was going to happen, and just the new movement of it all was so novel and
Envoy?
exciting.
Envoy using keyboard and mouse.
Keyboard and mouse. I'm pretty sure TJ Halley played in his pajamas on main stage. I'm pretty sure. Cookie Monster. Pajamas.
So
Yeah.
good.
I know. And then like also too, something that I think people talk about a lot too with AW, and the reason why Optic had so many championships was there was a
The
lot,
most events ever was that
the
year.
most events ever. So I think in terms of a fan perspective, you could watch tournaments like every other
There's
week. It felt
always
like.
something happen.
So that was really fun to watch.
Also, Clan Wars for pubs. I know. I don't know how
Clan
much
Wars and Ghosts was way better than these.
Ghost. And then I mean, you had Denial, of course.
Yeah.
Optic.
Clay and Attach and
yep.
them rising to stardom. I mean, Clay
All
being
them.
one of the best in the game that year.
Yep.
Mhm.
FaZe at LMG Columbus. FaZe winning with Ace, Broken Thumb and Sensors on the team.
Sensor and Slasher.
Yeah, Slashers on the team too
Yeah,
as well.
Fat Slasher.
Phenomenal. So yeah, I think it was just being introduced heavily into AW. It was very accessible, and like you could watch a ton of events too, which really helps. In terms of storylines, I think probably the biggest thing was Nadeshot's retirement too as well.
Yeah,
So,
true.
but
And the rise of the Optic Dynasty.
Mhm, yeah. But in terms of like for this purpose,
That's what. But for me, it's like BO4 had it all.
BO4 had
CWL, 100T,
You're probably right. You're probably
EU,
right.
Optic, all the rookies. So many rookies that
I know.
year.
The S&D scene was still kicking.
S&D scene was
too.
fire. Open bracket.
Mhm.
Streaming
That
was
like
on an
the
all-time
last, like,
high.
good year.
It was the perfect season.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And then
It
they
was
just
great.
burnt to the ground.
They did.
Ah.
It's over.
Okay, so
Yeah, BO4.
I will settle with AW at 3, even though I avidly disagree. Because Ghost is goated. But I'll allow that if BO4 is at 2.
Yes.
I'm fine
BO4
with
2.
that.
Okay, BO4 at 2, AW at 3.
Mhm.
So now we're down to 3 final ones here, which is the BO2, Ghost, and IW. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
IW, Ghost, BO2. Maybe.
I would go Ghosts, BO2, IW.
What? Competitively? IW was so much like I mean, I remember
The
some
hype
things
around
from
the scene was just
BO2.
low that year. I think people are nostalgic for it because OpTic won champs. But like, if OpTic didn't win champs,
OpTic won champs. E United was coming into play with Gunless. I was always like the dark horse team. I thought IW was a good competitive year at least.
it was. I mean, again, it's just it's
Over Ghost, or over BO2. I remember some things from those years. But
I
for
mean,
me,
that's the hardest thing is I don't think you and I watched much of Ghost
BO2 or Ghost.
or BO2, so I think it's kind of hard for us to be more fair in the conversation.
yeah, that's makes sense. I think CoD Champs was the first tournament I ever watched.
Yeah.
BO2.
BO2.
It was for Nate Shot.
IW,
that's what's tough.
that was a huge scump thing back.
IW doesn't hold that high of regard, and like it was a fun to watch. Uplink, of course, Jetpack, it's
Because from a
great.
ranking, I would have Ghost.
When
at
were you
2.
paying attention to brackets and stuff? Because that's like when
Ghost.
that's when I judged that like that's my best like record. Like I'm paying attention to the bracket, what's going on. And I was doing that in IW. BO2, I wasn't paying as like I was still kind of new to it all.
Yeah, that was the same. I would just watch Nate Shot. So I'd only watch
Yeah.
OpTic and they lose, I'm done. So I was an OpTic boy. And Ghost, though, was the first time I would actually watch a few matches of like complexity and watch some of the other teams.
Yeah.
And that's when, like you said, I would look at the brackets and watch matches and stuff.
Mhm. If you guys think IW is terrible,
Okay,
No, I don't think
can
it's
I-
terrible.
Can I
competitively
convince
entertaining
Ghost
wise.
at 4? I'm okay with BO2 at 6. But in my
Ghost,
opinion,
I did.
Ghost was definitively better than BO2, considering the competition level got really interesting in that year.
what would you want to go back and watch now? You
What?
would rather watch a Ghost, like if you had to like redo the, I don't know. Like
If we're
fresh.
assuming that champs for BO2 is still in March and that you still have X Games in Ghost
Mhm.
and you have the tournament layout in Ghost, I was thinking a little bit more like strategic from the competitive side that made more sense. International play, you had the breakouts a lot and the dominance of complexity, and guys were off the wall in that game. I mean, that's when you had Clay versus complexity after the BO2 season, all that stuff that I thought was super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do Ghost over BO2, but
Yeah.
you have to fight me on that.
Sam,
I'll do-
so do you
let's
guys
do Ghost.
you guys want IW over Ghost? Sam, how strongly do you feel about that?
I would say do Ghost IW.
How would you order it? You would order IW than Ghost.
I would do
assume.
IW Ghost Black Ops 2.
And so would you.
I would do IW Ghost Black Ops.
I'm outvoted.
Doesn't that suck being a best of 3?
This should be the best of 1.
Oh man.
It's a pretty reasonable list, though. So our final list here, everybody, is the best competitive season of all time is BO3, then BO4, then Advanced Warfare, then Infinite Warfare, then Ghosts, BO2, Cold War, MW3, World War II, Vanguard, MW19, and Modern Warfare 2 coming in dead last.
Man.
The top 12 Call of Duty since Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
Wow. Just gone downhill ever since.
I mean, it's a top heavy. It's top heavy with old CODs.
Yeah,
that is
it is.
for sure. So what we're saying is the best modern COD was definitively Cold War, which
Cold
I
War.
think everyone would agree.
Yeah.
Or BO4 if you call that a modern COD, but not since CDL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Ops 4 was, man, a great year.
Good, so good.
They need to bring that type of
I
stuff
could watch
back.
BO4 like even today. I could throw on a BO4 match and enjoy it.
They
Definitely.
need to bring back the special ability stuff. I don't know why they ever took that away. I thought everyone liked them.
I did. I
Yeah.
feel like everyone
No one
did.
complained about it.
No.
Everyone was like, this is great.
Mhm.
And then you're just like, nope, we're taking it away.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
I think we'll get him back eventually then because Treyarch Treyarch's not dumb.
My
At some point, you gotta
fingers are
switch it up.
crossed for Black Ops 6. Please give me something.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, specialists, that would be crazy.
Mm.
If we get specialists back in Black Ops 6, we're in for a ride next year. And I might have to bring this. We might have to bring this back
We have to
full
bring it
time at
back.
that point.
I mean,
Could
if
you
Uplink
imagine?
comes back, oh my god.
If Uplink comes back, the podcast will be back. Maybe we should just say that.
Every other day.
I mean, they have to bring it back. You want to save? That's my first rule as commissioner.
Uplink is back.
Uplink is back.
It is
So you're
guaranteed every year.
I am
Sure,
now the
CDL.
CEO of Microsoft. And my first rule is developers, Uplink back in the game. You want to save Call of Duty? You want to save competitive COD? You bring back Uplink, get rid of this control crap.
Which means you need jetpacks.
Yes.
Or we could do it underwater.
Underwater Uplink.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine just a Call of Duty map underwater completely and it's just like super slow
There's gotta be
movement?
some sort of like exosuit system that wouldn't be like as jetpacky, but like exosuity, where you can like jump up and jump into it. Probably.
Yeah.
Some sort of advanced
Gulf
movement.
War with a different timeline technology wise.
Yeah, where like you don't have to jetpack.
Yeah,
but you
just
could
jump high.
jump high.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just
Lunar.
doing a jump
Lunar.
high thing.
Lunar COD. They did it at IW.
IW. Let's go back to IW.
Lunar COD.
Lunar God. Just like different planets, planetary systems.
All you
To be
gotta
fair, they've
do.
never tried it.
Yeah.
A sci-fi Call of Duty where it's like future, like a literal futuristic.
like make it like a
COD.
double jump ability, like in your boot. And that's basically what
Would
it is.
COD still be COD if there were aliens? Like, dude,
What are you talking about?
What are we doing? Here we go.
Would COD still be COD if there were aliens?
we have now entered this debate. What are you talking about?
No, but for real though, like, let's say COD was like interstellar Call of Duty, and so you had like a futuristic COD where like it was like like you're interplanetary.
Yeah.
So there's aliens and like different species. Would you still call that like? Would you feel like this is Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Is it more about the gunplay and the movement,
Yeah,
or
it's
is
all
it about?
gunplay. I mean, yeah, I think it's just the mechanics. If they're the same as COD.
Then what the hell are we doing? Let's go
Or-
interstellar.
Or how about we take it all the way back to 2000 BC where it's spears and
Cavemen
caveman
COD?
COD. I mean, that'd be
Yeah,
good.
dude, we haven't had that era.
Boom, boom, boom. Oh,
you have like blow darts.
aliens dropped off AK-47s
Yes.
in time travelers.
Yeah,
Dude,
time
that's all you
travelers.
got to do is time traveling COD, so you can take it to the future, have your jetpack, take it back to Boots, and you have Dinosaur Land or whatever.
That's
Okay,
it.
I'm in. One COD's got to get crazy like that at some
Absolutely.
point, right? They're running out of ideas.
Yeah, they're gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
They have to.
All right.
Uplink is destined to come back. It's one of the best game modes created in any competitive game ever.
Mm.
It's basketball in COD. It was like the best thing.
Oh, I know. I mean, again, I don't get me wrong. I love it. So I'm with you there. But
Yep.
all right. So with that said, I mean, I guess the final thing some people were asking, like, what the hell's been going on in the life of Bash and ShadyNero
Wow.
and SalvationsElite? So, what's up in life, guys? Rex, kick us
Well,
off.
I'm
Where
going
you
to
been?
Going to school. Shout out to my UNL peeps. I know some of you watch.
Nice.
My boys.
And also been creating YouTube content for those of you interested. Just
Check
trying
out ShadyNero. Although is the name going to change at some point?
maybe. Probably not. Right now it's staying the same.
Okay. Well, follow, the link will be in the description for that.
Yeah.
Posting. So go check it out. Even Call of Duty content.
Even Call of Duty content. Usually talk about the majors and stuff. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Nice.
Bash.
Had another kid.
The baby machine.
Baby machine.
It's been on.
Yeah.
It's like
four of them now.
I
Not sure what's going on. But
mean, you're one of the biggest fathers in all of the COD scene. I mean, out of
and he's younger
Anyone-
than me, dude.
anyone in
have
the
0
COD
kids.
scene, Bash is one of the leaders in children.
there you
count.
go.
4
That's-
kids and he's 27.
So
Dude, 4 kids. He's 27.
The baby machine. That's what you're. That's
4
really-
kids
The
and he's
baby
27.
machine.
Bash underscore
Bash.
baby machine.
So I finally have my esports team.
You
Oh.
yeah. The roster's constructed.
So the roster is here, and so I have already been doing some thumb training with my
Mhm.
3-week-old
Mhm.
already. So that's great.
Got the land setups.
Absolutely. Yep. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's been pretty much, working.
Dude,
and
you're gonna be able to land with your kids though one day. That'll be
Dude.
pretty hype.
Absolutely.
That'll be hype.
Hopefully, I can get them all their own little setups and
Yeah,
do
100%.
it. But We'll see how that goes.
On the
You ever
PS.
worry that they're just not going to get into it?
There is a pit in my stomach that's like, you know what, they could forsake all these
They
sports.
could play
and
sports.
they play actual sports.
That would be terrible.
I
I
honestly
would disown them.
That's what I think is going to happen with like my kid. Like I don't have a kid. I'm like really into this stuff, and I'm like they're going to do something just to spite their father. Like, they're going to be like, I'm not doing that. I'm playing football.
Oh,
It's gonna be so funny. Like,
I'm like, son, pick up the sticks, man.
I know.
What are you
nah,
doing?
there's no way.
Do you know like how like the stereotype is always like?
Video games is cool now.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill's out there doing podcasts with Hitch.
I know that was
Yeah.
insane.
That's insane.
They didn't make a movie where it's like instead of the stereotype of like the jock father and his son like doesn't do it, it's like the nerdy father.
The nerdy
like,
father, the
like,
stupid jock son.
It's like, get out of here. I don't know who you are anymore.
Oh, who are you? Who's not the son I raised? What happened to Minecraft in the basement?
You have so much muscle in you. What's going on?
What happened to the Cheetos?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah. You know that's
what is that? A
been it.
protein shake? No, that should be Mountain Dew.
I see your Mountain Dew intake has dropped dramatically, son. What's going on?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you guys think you'll be playing like video games for the rest of your life?
Absolutely.
I mean, to some degree, I would assume. I don't foresee myself like just giving up gaming because, like,
Yeah.
as even if like I want to do a lot of things in life and I plan to be pretty busy, but like even if video games isn't always the future, I don't see a world where I wouldn't hop on the sticks with the boys for a while and like play something or like, I mean, geez, at the least hop back on nostalgic and play like some PS2 or something at some point.
right.
You know?
Yeah.
Age of Empire or something.
I
for
agree.
me, like
Yeah.
the nostalgia games at least.
I mean, heck, I like. It's funny that you posted that Grandpa Gaming clip.
Dude, Grandpa
Because I
Gaming.
just saw him on Instagram like 2 days ago, before or whatever. I'm like, it's literally this like 70, 80-year-old PC playing like Battlefield. He's actually like half
He's
decent.
kind of good.
Yeah.
No, like he hits shots
Wow.
that are difficult to hit.
I mean,
Yeah.
like think about like Dr. Disrespect. I mean, he's going to be 60 just
Oh, yeah.
dominating, 70 dominating, 80 probably.
I think it's like golf. If you keep doing it, like
Yeah.
maybe some things
You'll
will go
lose
away,
some things.
but
yeah.
like I think I'm better at COD now than I've ever been.
Oh, I definitely am.
Yep.
Same.
And I'm older, and I think I've only gotten better. If you keep playing, it's not
It's
gonna
about the
just go
practice.
away.
It really is about the practice.
So when people harp on like the age thing, I just like think that's just not true.
It's about passion.
Yeah, it's all about passion.
I mean, the kids are always going to have an advantage because they're going to have more time. And that's just inevitably what's going to be. I mean, 'cause
Yeah.
you can grind COD for 10 hours when you're 14 years old.
And that dope hits harder. And so like a kid can
Yeah.
go for 14 hours straight.
That's
Like I
true.
can't really do that anymore. Like
No,
it's
you're-
harder.
That's
for me.
facts. A 5-hour grind now is like, whoo,
It hurts.
that was hurts.
Like, man,
My eyes.
I'm tired.
Yeah, you get tired. You're like, I gotta.
It's like,
My
I gotta
eyes are
rest.
killing me.
I know.
Yeah.
Can't stay up late anymore.
But
But
Otherwise
it's not
you're
like I'm
dead.
not getting better. Like it's just, yeah, I don't know.
I will say though, for video games to continue up, we need to see some innovation in the gaming world because
Yes.
like it's getting stale.
Dude, I'm telling
Which
you,
I'm really hoping AI is what's going to solve our
Sims?
problems
it's gonna be simulation game. Like the
Yeah,
Sims
dude.
is gonna do something crazy
with AI.
With AI Sims and VR headsets. You already have a crazy situation.
I'm
there.
excited. I just can't wait to like, you know, the next what's the Bethesda game?
Or
No.
you're talking about
the
Elder Scrolls.
the recent Bethesda game, the space game,
Starfield.
Starfield.
Starfield. Yeah,
Sorry.
So I bought Starfield. I couldn't remember the name.
Yep.
I like Starfield. It's a good time.
Is it good?
It's cool.
Nice.
But like, I just want to hop into a Starfield game, go to the bar, look over to my AI buddy, like, how you doing, Tom?
Yeah.
And Tom's like, it's been a hell of a day. 3 aliens came in and tried to kill me last night while I was sleeping. I stabbed all 3 and they're bleeding out right now on the floor. Come with me. And we go in and like this all happened while the game was like resting in the night.
Yeah.
And Tom is literally living his life in synchronicity with mine. And so I can talk to Tom and Tom's like, what's up, man? I'm like, man, I got robbed today. Someone mugged me on the streets. And Tom's like, damn, that was tough. It
Yeah.
must be tough out there in the real world. And like, I just want to have like these real like AI conversations,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I
and like
think
in a world where
VR
AI is like legitimate, like the real, and like where the dumbass AI in the games where it's just the same stupid loops over and over
Everything.
again.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sick of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like any single player.
You like Jedi Survivor?
Yeah.
the AI in the game is so dumb. It's like it just ruins it for me. I can't even play it. It's like
or any like a snake game where it's like you're like
oh my gosh,
right behind them and they can't see you or something. It's like,
they don't hear your
stupid.
footsteps.
Oh yeah,
it's like
It's like
at some point we've all played these games before.
Yeah.
It's like I'm done. I'm kind of done and bored of it. That's why for me it's like right now like the real time strat like games that like Call of Duty where every game's different.
Mhm.
And, that's the competitive games keep me interested, but man, single player games they need some help. Need some help.
There will be a resurgence of single player games, I think, in the future.
With
AI coming and just
generated worlds where
what's
everyone's
capable now.
experience will be completely different with AI generated games.
I mean, No Man's Sky is like 80 trillion worlds or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like just unlimited worlds.
I mean, they're probably all really basic and like fairly similar, but like
I don't know. I never played it. But
Yeah,
I
from
mean,
my
once you get
experience.
AI in there, it's like now every world has their own type of alien that has its own AI.
and they
its
build
own
they
culture.
build the worlds differently with different exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. And then the AI it can generate like the lore. It'll auto generate lore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to go here and like they'll be doing some weird spiritual ritual and you're like, what the hell is this? And they're worshiping like Bob the Builder, and it's like, yes, like I want Bob the Builder.
This is what
lore.
I've needed my whole
I've
life.
needed this my entire life.
You just walk over, you're like, finally,
Bob the Builder.
Bob the Builder's being worshipped.
So good.
Oh man,
Yes.
yeah. No, I think that's the clear path.
You
Like,
seek Bob the Builder.
come this way.
Follow me. Yeah. Well, I guess what's going on in my life.
Yes.
I didn't even mention.
Where are you at in the world? We should
Things have changed.
have a segment where it's like, where's Josh in the world?
What in the world?
Put a
Yeah.
tracker
What's
on
wrong
it.
with
Yeah.
Paris? So I was doing master's degree in Germany. I'm in my final semester now, which we need to talk about, people. So there's actually going to be a link in the description down below. Please click that link. It's going to take you to a prototype that I've been building.
Ooh.
And then there's going to be a form that you can fill out. A form that you can fill out for a survey. I would love if you filled out the survey. So please fill out the survey.
Do it.
It would really help me with my master's thesis. As fans of the channel, it's a prototype about content creation. It's a community tool for people to use with their communities, for content creators to use with their communities.
Nice.
So picture yourself as me using it with you guys, as us using it with you guys, and what it could eventually look like for you, and just fill out the form. That'd be great.
Nice.
So I was working on my master's thesis this semester.
We're at.
Well, so yeah, I was finishing up in Germany, and then I decided, you know what, my student visa is going to end here at some point. Where should I move? And I didn't really want to move back to the States, and I was like looking at options, and I've been doing investing and crypto stuff, and so I moved to Puerto Rico.
The next logical step.
So I'm in Puerto Rico now, guys. So if you're ever in PR, shout me out, DM me on Twitter, go to the beach sometime or something.
There you go.
Because looking for friends out in Puerto Rico. If you live in Puerto Rico, hit me up.
Don't rob him.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's not much to rob. Right? So good luck. You can take this microphone. Congrats. But yeah, so essentially it's been interesting. So I basically moved there I gave it a test go in April, moved May 1st into an apartment, and we're locked in now. So got Puerto Rico locked and loaded. So I basically just now full time finishing up master's thesis till this fall. And then at that point, I'll be full time crypto, hopefully maybe turning my master's thesis into like a thing, maybe like a job, maybe a startup, maybe something along those lines. We'll see. And then Big Red Homestead, Nebraska football content. I've been doing that. So if you're a Husker football fan, links in the description, Big Red Homestead.
There you go.
And still doing that every so often. And that's kind of what I've been doing. So life's pretty chill right now.
Yeah. What's the transportation system like? Like, do you just walk? Do you bike?
I live in an area. My goal since I was living in Germany, my goal was to not have a car.
Yeah.
I really liked not having a car in Germany.
Really?
It was super fun. And although Germany, you have the trains and the buses. So in Puerto Rico, I was trying to find a place where I could live without a car, which I did, which actually ended up working out really well. So I don't have a car. So I'm just walking mostly, but keeps me active. I've been trying to be active.
Of course.
So for me, walking is kind of like a plus now. And since I don't have like too much going on in life, it's more like master's thesis. I work on my own schedule, content, and do it investing and trading.
Yep.
So it's been good. It's been good. So it's been fun. And I'm hoping to then turn, like I said, the master's thesis into a potential like startup or something along those lines. I still played a lot of ranked.
Yeah.
I saw you guys been grinding.
Yeah. I'm pretty much capped out. Like I'm pretty sure like my SSR is like you're gonna
Really?
stay here. You're done.
No.
I don't
Oh.
think so.
No,
know.
what? Plat?
No,
No, you
I'm
got diamond.
D1.
Oh, diamond.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't climb any higher.
Really?
Yeah, I'm capped.
The problem for me is not the skill's not the problem. The time's the problem because
It's
this.
the time.
Yeah.
You would get the
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think we all
Again,
we would all
if-
get the crimson.
If they actually put you and they ranked you on your visible rank and not your hidden MMR, whatever it is,
Yeah.
that would be amazing.
The irony of it is like now that I don't play as much, I'm like, man, the BO4 system was great. It just put you right into masters, and it's like, it's great. Who needs to ever grind? But now but then when I'm back there, I'm like, please let me grind. I don't want to get placed right into masters. This sucks. But now I'm like, frick, like why can't I just get placed right into masters and actually compete?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So now it's like half the matches are just like S&Ds are useless because everyone sucks.
Mhm.
Like you just get stuck in these S&Ds where everyone blows. It's useless. So at least in like the higher levels, S&D gets more competitive. That's mostly it, guys. I mean, we kind of were just like, our goal for this was to kind of just debate and ramble for like 2 hours so we can basically accomplish our goal. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, I'd really appreciate it if you go check out the link in the description for the survey for my prototype. My master's advisor would be very excited. So, and I would be very excited. So please check it out and give me a little bit of feedback there. And without further ado, I mean, guys, that was a blast.
Wow.
And hopefully more episodes coming in the future. Now that I'm in Puerto Rico, I can get back to the States a lot easier and a lot cheaper and a lot on a less, basically on like a random whim.
And same time zones.
And time zones, honestly, that's the biggest factor.
Yeah, dude.
Like now we could actually record online if we
Yes.
wanted to
Yeah.
for you were screwed. There was no way.
Yeah.
So that's much doable. We can actually play COD together again
Yes.
now
Yes.
that we're on the same time zone. So
Yep.
even though I was staying up to like 4 a.m., it still wasn't enough for you.
That's so hard. I was like,
Because my sleep schedule in Germany was like I was up till 4:30 every day. But for you, that's still like 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
doesn't
It's
work.
like I can't get up. Yeah, it's like
All right. But all right, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. But as always, I'm Josh. SalvationsElite to my left was Bo3. And to our farthest left, per usual, was ShadyNero. And guys, we will see you next time. We out.